Chapter 3490. Servant, haha. I'm dying of laughter. This guy is really a coward. Yu Ziqian laughed loudly and left the Pill Array main hall in large strides. Many people in the surroundings were also discussing spiritedly as they looked at Zhu Wenlin's back with disdain. Inside the Pill Array main hall, inside Buyangrong's cave, Zhu Wenlin knelt in front of Buyangrong with tears streaming down his face as he recounted the various miserable things that Zhuowen had done to him. Buyangrong's gaze was cold. He suddenly smashed the table beside his armrest with his palm and said in a deep voice, "That Zhuowen is really going too far. He actually dares to ride on the heads of our Pill Array Dao region." Speaking up to hear, Buyangrong came before Zhu Wenlin and held his wrist with one hand as he began to examine Zhu Wenlin's body. But soon, his gaze revealed a strange look. "Master, how is it? Did you notice what poison I was poisoned with?" Zhu Wenlin looked at Buyangrong with hope in his eyes. Buyangrong's gaze became more and more strange as he said, "Wenlin, I did not detect any symptoms of being poisoned on your body. Are you sure that Zhuowen poisoned you?" Zhu Wenlin's face was deathly pale as he said while trembling, "Even Master did not notice how terrifying the poison that damn Zhuowen poisoned me with was." Buyangrong's gaze turned solemn. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that something was amiss. He said in a deep voice, "You said that Zhuowen directly let you go and only poisoned you. He actually did not follow you into the Pill Array Dao domain?" The location of the Pill Array Dao domain was very mysterious. Generally speaking, Zhuowen should have let Zhu Wenlin bring him to the Pill Array Dao domain. However, Zhuowen did not do so. He only let Zhu Wenlin go, poisoned him, and reminded him to retrieve the remnant volume of the True Alchemy Array record. Not good. That Zhuowen might have done something to your body. Buyangrong suddenly realized something and retreated a few steps as he looked at Zhu Wenlin with a bewildered gaze. The moment Buyangrong retreated, a large hand suddenly stretched out from behind Zhu Wenlin and rapidly blasted towards Buyangrong. Buyangrong was already prepared. He threw out array flags one after another. Terrifying array formation fluctuations spread out in all directions like wave. Bang bang bang. Unfortunately, the moment these formation flags came into contact with the giant hand, they exploded like paper and were very fragile. Rumble. The hand directly tore apart the defensive array in front of Buyangrong and grabbed him by the neck, lifting him up. Zhu Wenlin was scared out of his wits. Before he could even react, Buyangrong was right in front of him. A large hand reached out from behind him and grabbed his neck. He had no strength to resist at all. "What's going on?" Zhu Wenlin's legs went soft as he knelt on the ground. His eyes were filled with terror as he muttered to himself. "Of course it's your doing," an indifferent voice sounded. Then, a figure slowly walked out from the void behind Zhu Wenlin. "Zhuowen? Why are you here?" Zhu Wenlin sat down on the ground and kept retreating. He looked at Zhuowen with fear in his eyes. "If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here." Zhuowen sneered. You've been attached to my body all this time?" Zhu Wenlin thought of something and turned pale with fright. Zhuowen shot out an energy rope and tied Zhu Wenlin up. Then, his gaze landed on Buyangrong. Buyangrong felt his scalp go numb when he felt Zhuowen's gaze. His heart was filled with bitterness. The pressure that Zhuowen gave him was too terrifying. He knew that Zhuowen was at least a grandmaster of the heaven-reaching realm. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so easily restrained by Zhuowen. "Zhuowen, how dare you barge into the Pill Array Immortal City? Do you really think that there's no one in the Pill Array Immortal City? You have to know that our Pill Array Dao domain has a half-step heaven-breaking powerhouse holding down the fort," Buyangrong said angrily. Buyangrong was very confident, feeling that Zhuowen wouldn't act recklessly. Because their Pill Array Dao domain's foundation far surpassed the outside world's 4 great Dao domains. There was a half-step heaven-breaking powerhouse holding down the fort inside the Pill Array Dao domain. He really wasn't afraid of this Zhuowen. If this Zhuowen dared to act recklessly, he wouldn't be able to walk out of the pill array Dao domain at all. There's actually a half-step heaven-breaking powerhouse inside your pill array Dao domain? Zhuowen asked in astonishment. Bu Yangrong raised his neck and said rather proudly, "Of course! Our pill array Dao domain's foundation is very deep, surpassing the Xianmi heavenly region's other 4 great Dao domains and the primitive desolate heavenly region. Apart from the heaven-reaching mystery realm, it's the only region with a half-step heaven-breaking powerhouse. So what? Killing you is merely a matter of flipping my hand. That half-step heaven-breaking powerhouse can't save you," Zhuowen said with a cold smile. "Zhuowen, don't be rash. What exactly do you want?" Bu Yangrong was helpless and could only use a negotiating tone. "Tell me where the remnant volume of the True Alchemy Array record is? Also, I need the pill formula of the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Holy Pill and a 3 Realms Flower Qianyu. As long as you give these 3 things to me, I'll spare your and your disciples' lives," Zhuowen said indifferently. "Zhuowen, you might as well rob," Bu Yangrong shrieked. Whether it was the remnant volume of the True Alchemy Array record, the pill formula of the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Holy Pill, or the 3 Realms Flower Qianyu, they were all extremely precious things. Especially the True Alchemy Array record, it was a true priceless treasure. How could he possibly take it out? "I won't make things difficult for you. Tell me the exact location of the True Alchemy Array record. Also, the whereabouts of the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Holy Pill and the 3 Realms Flower Qianyu. I can also consider letting you live," Zhuowen said indifferently. "Don't even think about the True Alchemy Array record and the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Holy Pill's pill formula. Those things are in the hands of the Immortal City Lord. You can't get it at all. As for the 3 Realms Flower Qianyu, I can help you get it," Bu Yangrong said solemnly. Zhuowen's eyes flickered and said with a nod, "As long as you can help me, the 3 Realms Flower Qianyu, I can spare your life. However, during the time I'm in the Alchemy Array Dao domain, you have to acknowledge me as your master. Your life and death must be in my hands." "What? Zhuowen, you're too much. You actually want me to be your servant?" Bu Yangrong shrieked, his voice very sharp. Bang! Zhuowen directly punched Bu Yangrong, directly hitting him until he vomited blood and his face turned pale. "Since you're not willing, then go to hell. Anyway, you're not the only one who knows about the True Alchemy Array record and the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Holy Pill." Zhuowen's eyes revealed terrifying killing intent, planning to give Bu Yangrong a fatal blow. "No. I'll acknowledge you as my master. Let me live." Bu Yangrong yielded. He still did not want to die. After Zhuowen took away Bu Yangrong and Zhu Wenlin 2 people's divine soul imprints, he also undid the 2 people's bindings. Bu Yangrong and Zhu Wenlin 2 people's heads drooped. They were very dejected. Now, they became Zhuowen's servants. Their life and death were in Zhuowen's hands. Now, they had no choice but to listen to Zhuowen's instructions. Chapter 3491. 3 Realms Flower Qianyu. In a spacious and quiet room, Zhuowen sat cross-legged on a futon. Purple light flickered around his body, and his chest rose and fell rhythmically as he breathed in and out the surrounding energy. Zhuowen slowly opened his eyes and muttered to himself strangely, "I really didn't expect that the pill array Dao domain still has chaotic energy. Although the purity of chaotic energy is not as good as the heavenly secret realm, it's much better than other Dao domains. At least my human body can cultivate here." Zhuowen felt that it was inconceivable. The pill array Dao domain was in the starry sky of the lower realm and did not come into contact with the chaotic starry sky. Logically speaking, it was impossible for chaotic energy to exist in the pill array Dao domain. Zhuowen knew that the reason why chaotic energy appeared was because of the pill array immortal monarch. The Pill Array Immortal Monarch should have used a Supreme Array Dao technique to connect the Pill Array Dao domain to the chaotic starry sky so that he could seize a portion of chaotic energy from the chaotic starry sky and integrate it into the Pill Array Dao domain. There was a knock on the door, and Zhuowen said indifferently, "Come in, the door is not locked." Creak. The door was pushed open, and Zhu Wenlin walked in with a humble smile. "Master, my master already has clues about the Three Realms Flower Qianyu. He should be able to get it in less than 3 days," Zhu Wenlin said with a flattering smile. "And Buyangrong did well. Also, do you have the whereabouts of the Pill Array True Record and the 6 Desires Condensing Divine Pill Recipe?" Zhuowen suddenly asked. Zhu Wenlin laughed dryly. "Master, whether it's the Pill Array True Record or the 6 Desires Spirit Condensation Saint Pill Recipe, they're both extraordinary. They're all in the hands of the City Lord. That's the City Lord of the Pill Array Celestial City, a peerless expert whose talent is close to the Pill Array Celestial Lord. Even my master won't be able to get these 2 things for you." Zhuowen frowned. He'd roughly found out from Buyangrong and Zhu Wenlin that the governor of Pill Formation City was called Duan Qingyao, and he was a monstrous genius in pill formations that possessed world-shocking talent. It was said that Duan Qingyao had cultivated both alchemy and array Dao to the half-step heaven-crushing stage in just a short 10,000 years. What was even more amazing was that Qingyao was a peak third blight cultivator. Such powerful alchemy and formation Dao combined with his terrifying cultivation would be heaven-defying. He would be able to fight against fourth blight cultivators. Moreover, he'd also found out from Buyangrong that Duan Qingyao wasn't the only half-step heaven-shattering expert in the pill formation Dao domain, and there were a total of 6 half-step heaven-shattering experts, including Duan Qingyao. Of course, the other 5 half-step heaven-crushing elites were cultivators that had been nurtured by the alchemy formation Dao region for countless years, and they weren't skilled in alchemy or formation Dao. With the foundation of the alchemy formation Dao domain, it was indeed very possible for it to nurture a half-step heaven-crushing cultivator. After all, its profession was alchemy, and it did not lack divine pills and miraculous medicines at all. With a large number of divine pills and elixirs, as long as a cultivator's talent wasn't too bad, their speed of advancement wouldn't be slow. Of course, many of the cultivators in the Alchemy Array Dao domain had joined the Alchemy Array Dao domain from outside. After all, after joining the Alchemy Array Dao domain, one would not have to worry about divine pills and miraculous medicines. They could be nurtured with all their might, rapidly increasing their strength. Of course, compared to the heaven-accessing mystic realm, the Alchemy Array Dao domain was still far inferior. However, it was far superior to the other Dao domains of the Xianmi Heavenly Domain and the Primitive Heavenly Domain. I'm not asking you to help me get the true alchemy record and the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Divine Pill Recipe for me. I'm asking you to give me the specific whereabouts of these 2 things. I'll get them myself, Zhuowen said indifferently. Zhu Wenlin's eyes flashed and he said hesitantly, "Master, why don't you wait for 3 months? 3 months later, the Celestial City Lord will hold a competition in the Celestial City. At that time, all the participants will have a chance to enter the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion. And whether it's the true alchemy record or the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Divine Pill Recipe, they've all been recorded in the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion. With Master's ability, as long as you enter the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion, you might be able to obtain the true alchemy record and the 6 Desires Spirit Condensing Divine Pill Recipe." The Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion? They belong to the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch? Zhuowen's eyes lit up as he asked. Yes, the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion was the pavilion where the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch studied alchemy and set up arrays. After the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch mysteriously disappeared, the pavilion was inherited by the new Celestial City Lord. After that, It was passed down from generation to generation until it reached the hands of the current Celestial City Lord. Zhu Wenlin said in a deep voice. It's said that the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion contains the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch's lifetime creation of the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch, as well as a large amount of understanding about the Alchemy Array Celestial Monarch. It's the real supreme treasure in the Celestial City. In the past, the Celestial City Lord had never taken it out. This time, in the Celestial City Lord's competition, he actually took it out. It's really surprising. Then, Zhu Wenlin looked at Zhuowen and continued, Master, if you want to, you can participate in the Celestial City Lord's competition with me. With Master's Alchemy Array Celestial City Lord, this Celestial City competition won't be too difficult for you. And help me register. My temporary identity in the Alchemy Array Celestial City is Buyang Rong's new disciple. I'm also your junior brother, Zhuowen said. Master, I don't dare. Zhu Wenlin trembled and said hurriedly. No matter. When there's no one around, you can call me Master. However, when there are people around, it's best to call me junior brother. Otherwise, I don't need to tell you the consequences. Zhuowen said coldly. Zhu Wenlin nodded quickly. Then, Zhuowen waved his hand and dismissed him. Zhu Wenlin respectfully left the room. 3 days later, Buyang Rong really brought Zhuowen the 3 realms flower 1,000 feathers. This made Zhuowen very satisfied. Master, do you really intend to take away the remnant of the true Alchemy Array record? Buyang Rong hesitated for a while after handing the 3 realms flower 1,000 feathers to Zhuowen. What? Is there a problem? Zhuowen looked at the 3 realms flower 1,000 feathers in his hand, and said indifferently, Master, I don't doubt that you have the ability to take away the remnant of the true Alchemy Array record. However, you have to know that the true Alchemy Array record is the only thing left behind by the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch. Its value is immeasurable. Even if you take it away, you can't take it away. As for the 6 Desires Spirit Congealing Saint Pill, if you have the ability, you can take it away. However, you can't take away the remnant of the true Alchemy Array record. Buyang Rong was very serious and his eyes were full of coldness. You're saying that even if I find the remnant of the true Alchemy Array record in the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion, the Master of the Immortal City won't let me take it away. Is that what you mean? Zhuowen said with a faint smile. Buyang Rong nodded and remained silent. So what? I, Zhuowen, must get the remnant of the true Alchemy Array record. Whoever dares to snatch it away, I'll kill them. The Master of the Immortal City is no exception. If you have nothing else, you can leave now. Call me when the competition starts. Zhuowen's eyes were full of killing intent and his voice was cold and ruthless. Buyang Rong sighed in his heart. He wasn't really worried about Zhuowen's safety. On the contrary, in his opinion, Zhuowen was dead for sure. He was only worried that after Zhuowen took away the remnant of the true Alchemy Array record, it would implicate him. That would be a big trouble for him. After all, he was the one who protected Zhuowen and allowed Zhuowen to participate in the competition. If something happened to Zhuowen, he definitely couldn't escape the responsibility. However, Buyang Rong also knew that he couldn't persuade Zhuowen. Now, he could only take one step at a time. I'll take my leave. Chapter 3492. Immortal City competition time passed quickly, and 3 months passed quickly. During these 3 months, Zhuowen had been cultivating in seclusion in his room. Of course, his main focus was still his human body. There were too many restrictions on his clone's cultivation. He needed the ancestral sorcery goo worms to truly cultivate and advance. At the same time, he would also take out the true pill array record to study and raise his pill array level. His array Dao level had already reached half-step Heavenbreaker, and he was mainly studying pill Dao. He had a feeling that his pill Dao was about to break through and reach a critical state. He only needed an opportunity, and his alchemy Tao would be able to evolve rapidly, leaping to half-step heaven breaker level. Moreover, the more Zhuowen studied the true pill array records, the more extraordinary he found the true pill array records. He was sure that the pill array immortal monarch was definitely an extraordinary pill array grandmaster. His level had already surpassed this starry sky. Zhuowen had a premonition that if he could obtain the complete true record of alchemy arrays and study it thoroughly, his alchemy array level would very likely advance to the heaven breaker level. This was also why Zhuowen urgently wanted to obtain the pill array true record in the pill array immortal city. Master, today is the day of the immortal city competition. Come with me. Zhu Wenlin's voice came from outside the door. Zhuowen stood up and opened the door. Zhu Wenlin respectfully stepped aside. Let's go. Where's Buyang Rong? Zhuowen walked out and asked casually. Zhu Wenlin followed behind and said respectfully, Master is a member of the Elder Group. Today, he was summoned by the Grand Elder to maintain order in the Immortal City competition. Zhu Wenlin led Zhuowen out of the Pill Array Hall and onto the streets of the Immortal City. Only now did Zhuowen realize that the streets of the Pill Array Immortal City were bustling with people coming and going, and it was extremely lively. Today is the day of the Immortal City Grand Competition. Many people rushed back from outside just to participate in the Immortal City Grand Competition. Zhu Wenlin said with an embarrassed smile when he saw Zhuowen's strange expression. Everyone can participate in the Immortal City competition? Zhuowen asked curiously. Yes, as long as one was a member of the Pill Array Immortal City and had reached the Tao Vindication level, one would have the right to participate in the Immortal City competition. Of course, there is also an age limit. They must be under 10,000 years old. Those old monsters who don't come out are not qualified to participate. Of course, only a small number of people were able to stand out in the Immortal City competition. Even I would find it difficult to get into the top 10. Zhu Wenlin said with a wry smile. Even you can't get into the top 10? Zhuowen asked curiously. Zhu Wenlin's alchemy skills were not weak. They had both reached the peak of the creator stage. Compared to the other Tao domains in the Xianmi heavenly domain, this level was definitely at the top. Moreover, Zhu Wenlin's age was definitely not more than 10,000 years old. He was definitely a genius. Zhu Wenlin actually did not have the confidence to enter the top 10 in this Immortal City competition. The younger generation of the Alchemy Array Tao domain was a little terrifying. Not long after, Zhu Wenlin brought Zhuowen to the southeastern part of the Immortal City, in front of a huge plaza. Behind the plaza stood an incomparably huge pavilion. Multicolored light flowed on the pavilion's surface, and it was filled with terrifying array Tao ripples. Zhuowen's eyes were solemn. The array Tao ripples of this pavilion were very powerful, and it shocked Zhuowen. The arrays set up here were all half-step heaven breaker arrays. Although Zhuowen was already a half-step heaven breaker array Tao divine master, he knew that he would have to spend a lot of time and effort to break the restrictions on the pavilion's surface. Moreover, he could faintly feel that there was a mysterious restriction power inside this pavilion. This restriction power was too mysterious and profound. Even Zhuowen could not see through it. This is the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. It was the pavilion that the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch used to live in. It's the true holy land of the Alchemy Array Immortal City. Normally, the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion is not open to the public. Ordinary people can't enter at all. Only people with high status and authority have the right to enter, and the number of times they can enter is very limited, Zhu Wenlin said as he pointed at the huge pavilion in front of him. At this moment, there were many people gathered in the plaza outside the Pill Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion. Zhuowen carefully looked at the Pill Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion. He realized that although it was a pavilion, it was a tower-like structure with a total of 81 floors. Zhu Wenlin had previously introduced to him that the manuals in the Pill Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion were ranked from the bottom to the top. It was said that the top floor of the Pill Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion contained a remnant of the true Pill Array record. However, the restriction on the top floor was very terrifying. In the entire Pill Array Celestial City, only the City Lord, Duan Qingyao, had the ability to enter the top floor. Other than that, even the Grand Elder of the Immortal City, Yu Jinghuan, who was second only to Duan Qingyao in terms of Array Dao, had failed to enter the top floor to comprehend the remnant of the true Pill Array record. At the bottom of the Pill Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion, there were white jade stairs that went up. On the stairs there were 21 figures. The most eye-catching one was the old man with a long white beard standing at the front. Zhuowen saw Buyang Rong among the 21 figures. He knew that these 21 people should be the elder group of the Immortal City. As for the white-bearded old man, he should be the leader of the elder group, the Grand Elder of the Immortal City, Yu Jinghuan. Yo, Brother Zhu, you still have the face to participate in the Immortal City's grand competition? I really didn't expect it. Suddenly, a mocking voice was heard. A group of people walked over from behind. The leader was a young man holding a folding fan. Zhuowen looked at the young man. He was no stranger to this person. This person was called Yu Ziqian. Previously, he had blocked Zhu Wenlin outside the Pill Array Great Hall and forced Zhu Wenlin to crawl under his crotch. At that time, Zhu Wenlin was already out of his wit. He actually crawled under Yu Ziqian's crotch and became the laughingstock of many people in the Immortal City. The moment Zhu Wenlin saw Yu Ziqian, his face turned green and white. He did not look good. Brother Zhu, you don't look good. I have a way to restore you to your normal state. Yu Ziqian chuckled. He lifted his trousers and spread his legs apart. He looked at Zhu Wenlin mockingly and said, Brother Zhu just needs to crawl under my crotch again, and Brother Zhu's face will definitely be rosy and full of energy. When Yu Ziqian said this, many people behind him roared with laughter. They did not hold back their laughter at all. Yu Ziqian, don't go overboard. How dare you humiliate me in public? Zhu Wenlin said angrily. Yu Ziqian chuckled coldly and said, Brother Zhu, it's fine if you don't appreciate my help. I helped you with good intentions, but you really treated my good intentions as ill intent. At this point, Yu Ziqian's gaze fell on Zhuowen, who was beside Zhu Wenlin. He continued, I heard that you have a new junior brother. It must be this guy. How about this, as a junior brother, you help your senior brother. Crawl under my crotch in his place and treat your senior brother's complexion. How about that? Zhuowen's gaze hardened, and he looked coldly at Yu Ziqian. Zhuowen had no interest in the conflict between Zhu Wenlin and Yu Ziqian, nor did he want to interfere. Chapter 3493. Crawl under his crotch. Yu Ziqian naturally noticed Zhuowen's cold glare and shuddered involuntarily. However, he was soon enraged. Zhuowen was ignoring him and leading Zhu Wenlin toward the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. How reckless! All of you attack. Stop them. If they don't crawl under his crotch today, we'll beat them until they do. At Yu Ziqian's command, the 6 cultivators behind him rushed out and blocked Zhuowen and Zhu Wenlin's path. These 6 cultivators were most likely Yu Ziqian's subordinate. They were all very strong, at least at the creation realm. The leader was even an early-stage Ascension Master. They stood in front of Zhuowen and Zhu Wenlin with malicious intent. The early-stage Ascension Master said coldly, Didn't you hear what our young master said? Or are you deaf? Of course we heard it. Brother Yu Ziqian said, he wanted to crawl under my senior brother Zhu Wenlin's crotch. My senior brother wasn't willing at first, afraid that Yu Ziqian's head would sully his crotch. However, seeing Brother Yu's enthusiasm, my senior brother had no choice but to reluctantly accept it. Zhuowen was very calm. He gave Zhu Wenlin, who was a little stunned, a look. Zhu Wenlin came back to his senses and felt a little helpless. He could only do as Zhuowen said and spread his legs. He looked at Yu Ziqian and said, "Yu Ziqian, if you want to crawl under my crotch, go ahead. Hurry up, I'm in a hurry." When these words were spoken, many of the surrounding onlookers were stunned. They looked at Zhu Wenlin and Zhuowen with strange gazes. "Is there something wrong with your heads? I asked you to crawl under my crotch. When did I say?" Yu Ziqian's face darkened. Before he could finish speaking, he felt a formless power surge into his soul, causing it to become disordered. Plop! Just when everyone thought Yu Ziqian was going to explode, Yu Ziqian knelt on the ground. His eyes were glazed over, and white foam was coming out of his mouth. He looked like an idiot as he crawled towards Zhu Wenlin. Under everyone's shocked gazes, Yu Ziqian squirmed between Zhu Wenlin's legs and back again like a pug. Zhu Wenlin was stunned as well. He glanced discreetly at Zhuowen, who was standing beside him. He knew that Yu Ziqian's condition must have been caused by this person beside him. Zhu Wenlin's guess was right. Yu Ziqian's spirit had been temporarily suppressed by Zhuowen. Furthermore, he had implanted the consciousness of burrowing into Yu Ziqian's spirit. Of course, this wasn't possession. This consciousness wouldn't stay in Yu Ziqian's soul for too long. Once the consciousness disappeared, Yu Ziqian would recover. Zhuowen's spirit was so powerful that it stood at the peak of the universe. Yu Ziqian's spirit was too weak. In his eyes, Yu Ziqian was nothing more than trash. The 6 cultivators who had been standing between Zhuowen and Zhu Wenlin were all dumbfounded. They stared incredulously at Yu Ziqian, who was squirming between Zhu Wenlin's legs like a pug. They were all flabbergasted. Yu Ziqian's eyes regained their clarity. Then, he saw that his hands were on the ground, right below Zhu Wenlin's crotch. Yu Ziqian's body stiffened. His eyes widened and his entire body trembled. "Zhu Wenlin, you bastard! I'm going to cut you into pieces!" Yu Ziqian tried to stand up, but Zhu Wenlin had already received Zhuowen's message. He stomped his foot on Yu Ziqian's face without hesitation. Yu Ziqian was in for a tragedy. He was already under Zhu Wenlin's crotch, so he never thought that Zhu Wenlin would be so shameless as to step on him. His face was caught off guard as the sole of Zhu Wenlin's foot came into contact with his face, and he was sent crashing into the ground. Yu Ziqian and Zhu Wenlin were about the same level of strength to begin with. In fact, Yu Ziqian was slightly weaker than Zhu Wenlin. Now that Zhu Wenlin had the upper hand, it was difficult for Yu Ziqian to shake him off. He struggled, but couldn't get up. Instead, his face hurt from the pressure. "How dare you!" The 6 cultivators flew into a rage when they saw that Yu Ziqian's face was being stomped on. They attacked without hesitation. However, before they could even get close to Zhuowen and Zhu Wenlin, they all fell to the ground and fainted. Many of the onlookers were in an uproar. This was too bizarre. These 6 cultivators weren't weak, but they'd all fainted as soon as they'd charged over. Was this all Zhu Wenlin's doing? Thinking of this, the gazes of the surrounding crowd turned grave as they looked at Zhu Wenlin. "Brother Zhu, long time no see. I didn't expect you to have learned such a powerful soul technique. Congratulations!" Just as Zhu Wenlin was stomping on Yu Ziqian, a young man in snow-white clothes walked over from the crowd. This young man in white was very handsome, and his skin was excessively fair. At this moment, he was looking at Yu Ziqian with bright eyes. "It's Chu Xiangdi. He's the personal disciple of the 2nd elder in the elder group. Among the younger generation, his alchemy skills are second only to the disciple of the Immortal City's great elder, Jiang Pinghui. He's very famous. This Chu Xiangdi is very proud and arrogant. He usually has high standards but low skills. Why is he so enthusiastic today?" Zhu Wenlin didn't expect Chu Xiangdi to take the initiative to talk to him. This Chu Xiangdi's talent was much higher than his, and he was much more famous. In the past, he had always looked up to him. The number of times they had spoken was no more than 10. Their relationship could be said to be very ordinary. But now, he could see that Chu Xiangdi was looking at him with a gaze filled with eagerness. He quickly thought of the reason. It must be because of what happened just now, which made Chu Xiangdi mistakenly think that it was him who did it. Just as Zhu Wenlin was about to say that everything that happened just now was Zhuowen's doing, he was warned by Zhuowen to not speak of it. Zhu Wenlin was helpless, he did not dare to disobey Zhuowen's orders, and could only force a smile. Brother Chu is too polite. Just now it was just a small trick. Brother Zhu is really modest. The soul is the most difficult to cultivate. For Brother Zhu to be able to learn such a powerful soul technique, I am very happy for Brother Zhu, Chu Xiangdi said enthusiastically. Zhuowen watched coldly from the side. He could tell with a glance that this Chu Xiangdi was approaching Zhu Wenlin for the so-called soul technique. His goal was not pure. Unfortunately, Chu Xiangdi did not know that the one who truly possessed a powerful soul technique was not Zhu Wenlin, but him, Zhuowen. Not at all, not at all, Zhu Wenlin replied rather courteously. At the same time, he kicked Yu Ziqian to one side. Zhu Wenlin, you mongrel, to actually dare plot against me, you're dead for sure. See if I don't beat you to death. After Yu Ziqian rolled several times, he immediately stood up and charged towards Zhu Wenlin in a rage. Smack! However, when Yu Ziqian just arrived in front of Zhu Wenlin, the Chu Xiangdi who was originally talking and laughing directly gave a slap over, sending Yu Ziqian to the ground. Yu Ziqian was immediately stunned. He looked at Chu Xiangdi blankly. Yu Ziqian, if you dare to cause trouble here again, I don't mind reporting this matter to my master. I want to see if Elder Yu will stand on your side, or my side when the time comes. Chu Xiangdi said coolly. Yu Ziqian covered his face and said in a low voice, Senior Apprentice Brother Chu, I was wrong. I hope that Senior Apprentice Brother Chu is magnanimous and doesn't take issue with my foolishness today. Yu Ziqian's heart was already overflowing with hatred long ago, but he did not dare to show it. Chu Xiangdi's master was in existence second only to the Immortal City's head elder in the group of elders. His status and power surpassed his father's. He really did not dare to offend someone like Chu Xiangdi. Chapter 3494. Jiang Pingwei, many thanks to Senior Brother Chu for your help this time. Zhu Wenlin cupped his hands respectfully. Chu Xiangdi's status and talent were above his. In the past, he had worshipped Chu Xiangdi, let alone now. Oh right, Senior Brother Chu, this is my junior brother. His name is Zhuowen. He's a disciple that my master has just accepted. Zhu Wenlin pointed at Zhuowen beside him and introduced him to Chu Xiangdi. Chu Xiangdi nodded slightly at Zhuowen and didn't pay too much attention to Zhuowen. If he didn't suspect that Zhu Wenlin had a powerful soul art, he wouldn't even pay attention to Zhu Wenlin, let alone come to befriend him. Zhuowen naturally saw through Chu Xiangdi's thoughts. He sneered in his heart but did not say anything. Junior Apprentice Brother Zhu, just now when you took down those 6 cultivators in an instant, you should have used some kind of soul mystic technique, right? Chu Xiangdi suddenly asked tentatively. Zhu Wenlin was stunned. Glancing at Zhuowen, he laughed dryly and said, Turns out that Brother Chu saw through it. I indeed used the divine soul mystic art. I obtained this soul secret technique by accident. It's damaged, and the side effects are huge. Hearing this, Chu Xiangdi's eyes showed obvious disappointment. He smiled and said, Junior Brother Zhu, I wonder if you can lend me your soul secret technique. Zhuowen's brows furrowed slightly. This Chu Xiangdi really thought too highly of himself. He'd only just met Zhu Wenlin, and he actually asked for the divine soul mystic technique from the other party. It was a bit too much. Zhu Wenlin was speechless. He didn't know any divine soul secret arts. Everything just now was done by Zhuowen, and it had nothing to do with him. Chu Xiangdi had asked him for a divine soul secret technique, so how could he possibly take it out? Chu Xiangdi saw Zhu Wenlin fall silent and said with a faint smile, "Junior apprentice brother Zhu, it was brother who was rude. However, I really need that soul secret technique right now. I hope junior brother Zhu can lend it to me so I can take a look. I won't treat junior brother unfairly." Zhu Wenlin remained silent while Zhuowen said, "Senior brother Chu, the competition in the Immortal City is about to begin. Let's discuss this matter after the competition ends." Chu Xiangdi looked at Zhuowen and said coldly, "I'm talking to your senior brother, why are you interrupting?" Zhuowen narrowed his eyes. Just as he was about to speak, there was an uproar in the surroundings, attracting the attention of Zhuowen, Zhu Wenlin, and Chu Xiangdi. At this moment, everyone's attention was on the periphery of the square. There, a group of people slowly approached. At the front of this group of people was a very luxurious palanquin. The 4 cultivators carrying the palanquin were all master transcendence experts. Zhuowen's eyes flashed with surprise. The owner of this palanquin seemed to have an extraordinary status. Even the people carrying the palanquin were Empyrean sovereigns. Zhuowen wondered who this person was. The moment Chu Xiangdi saw the palanquin, his eyes lit up. He couldn't be bothered to continue arguing with Zhuowen. He quickly walked towards the palanquin. The palanquin stopped in the middle of the square. Then, a beautiful figure walked out of the palanquin. This was a woman with skin as white as snow. Her hair was like a waterfall that danced in the wind. Her delicate and beautiful face was like a finely carved porcelain jade. Her hair fluttered in the wind, adding a sense of hazy spirituality. She was like a fairy in a dream. This woman was very beautiful. She was like a fairy who didn't belong to the mortal world. Even Zhuowen was shocked when he saw this woman for the first time. Zhu Wenlin, who was standing beside Zhuowen, had a mesmerized look on his face. He stood there in a daze. "Who is this woman?" Zhuowen asked in surprise. "Her name is Jiang Pinghui. She is the direct disciple of the Immortal City's great elder. She is also the most talented genius among the younger generation in the Immortal City. She has only cultivated for a little over 1,000 years. Her alchemy skills have already reached the peak of the creation realm. She is not far from the heaven-connecting realm. Her skills have even surpassed some of the elders in the elder group. And she is so beautiful. She is really," Zhu Wenlin said in a mesmerized manner. Zhuowen was a little speechless. This Zhu Wenlin was acting like a love-struck fool. Zhuowen wanted to facepalm. Zhuowen sized up the beautiful woman who walked out of the palanquin. He had to admit that this woman's talent in alchemy was indeed very strong. In just a little over 1,000 years, she was able to cultivate her alchemy skills to the peak of the creation realm. This was not something an ordinary person could do. At this moment, Chu Xiangdi had already walked to the side of the palanquin. He looked at Jiang Pinghui eagerly and wanted to help her down. Jiang Pinghui smiled sweetly. Her jade-like hand gently avoided Chu Xiangdi's hand and landed on the ground. Chu Xiangdi did not mind. He hurriedly went up to talk to Jiang Pinghui. Jiang Pinghui had been very calm. Under the crowd's escort, she slowly walked to the front of the square. At this moment, among the elders in front of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion, the Immortal City's Grand Elder, who was the leader, saw Jiang Pinghui coming. He stroked his long white beard and revealed a kind expression. What he was most proud of was that he had taken in such a talented disciple. She had given him a lot of face as her master. "I think it's about time. I will explain the details of this Immortal City competition to everyone." Immortal City's Grand Elder Yu Jinghuan spoke. He continued, "City Lord Duan is still in seclusion and will not come out easily. Therefore, this Immortal City competition will be hosted by this old man. And this Immortal City competition is very simple. It will not be as complicated as the previous years. At this point, Yu Jinghuan pointed to the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion behind him and said, "Everyone knows that this is the first time the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion is open to everyone. And the location of the Immortal City competition will be in the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. The Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion is where the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion used to refine pills and set up arrays. There are too many array Dao restrictions and pill fire traps inside. At the same time, there are many precious manuals, and the higher you go, the more precious the manuals are. This Immortal City competition is for everyone to enter the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion and search for your own manuals. Each of you will have the chance to bring out 3 manuals. Once 3 manuals are taken, you will definitely be teleported out. However, in the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion, the higher the level, the more precious the manuals are. And on the 81st level, there is a remnant of the true Pill Array record. As long as one of you has the strength to reach the highest level, the true Pill Array record will belong to that person. At this point, Yu Jinghuan paused for a moment. Everyone in the square was dumbfounded. The true Pill Array record was too famous in the Pill Array Dao region. It was said that it was the life work of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch and was very precious. This time, it was open to everyone. The Immortal City Lord of the Pill Array Immortal City was too generous. Yu Jinghuan was very calm. His words were just to motivate everyone. Chapter 3495. Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Now, I will open the door to the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. After you enter, you can choose the books you want. However, let me make it clear that the restrictions in this pavilion are very powerful. If your Pill Array skills are not up to par, it is best not to enter rashly. Otherwise, your life will be in danger. Yu Jinghuan reminded them in a serious tone. Then, he took out an array flag and took it out. The moment Yu Jinghuan made this move, the 20 elders behind him also took out array flags and took out array flags in unison with Yu Jinghuan. 21 array flags floated in the air, forming a terrifying whirlpool. Finally, the whirlpool landed in front of the door of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Bang! 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 The surface of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion rippled with a strong array Dao, and it emitted a dazzling light, as if it was resisting the array flags. In the end, the array Dao ripples calmed down, and the door in front of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion slowly opened. Inside the door, a blazing white light shot out. It was extremely dazzling, and it was impossible to see what was inside clearly through the door. "You guys can go in," Yu Jinghuan said indifferently. As soon as he said that, the restless crowd in the plaza impatiently rushed into the door. At this moment, in front of the plaza, Jiang Pinghui was not in a hurry to enter the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Her beautiful eyes landed on Chu Xiangdi, and she softly said, "Senior brother Chu, is what you said true? Junior sister, when have I ever lied to you? That Zhu Wenlin most likely has a soul secret technique. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to make those 6 cultivators faint on the ground from a distance. Those 6 cultivators' cultivation bases are even higher than Zhu Wenlin's," Chu Xiangdi said with an earnest smile. Jiang Pinghui nodded slightly, but her beautiful eyes landed on Zhu Wenlin, who was not far away. When she saw that Zhu Wenlin was about to enter the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion, she frowned and rushed out to stop Zhu Wenlin. Chu Xiangdi followed behind Jiang Pinghui. His eyes were calm and no emotions could be seen. Originally, Zhu Wen and Zhu Wenlin planned to enter the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion, but they were quickly stopped by a beautiful figure. Junior sister Jiang? Zhu Wenlin's eyes widened as he stared at the beautiful woman in front of him in disbelief. He didn't expect that Jiang Pinghui would actually find him. This was too unexpected. One had to know that Jiang Pinghui's pill array talent and beauty were second to none in pill array Immortal City. Inside the city, countless young prodigies were in love with Jiang Pinghui. Even Chu Xiangdi, who was following behind Jiang Pinghui, was in love with her. Zhu Wenlin was no exception. However, in Zhu Wenlin's opinion, the gap between him and Jiang Pinghui was too big. He didn't even have the courage to get close to Jiang Pinghui, let alone pursue her. He had never hoped that Jiang Pinghui would take the initiative to look for him, because he knew that the probability of this happening was too small. But now, Jiang Pinghui actually took the initiative to look for him. Zhu Wenlin's heart beat very fast, and his face involuntarily turned red. Zhu Wen frowned slightly. He glanced at Chu Xiangdi behind Jiang Pinghui and guessed that Jiang Pinghui had come to find Zhu Wenlin for the so-called soul secret technique. Senior Brother Zhu, hello. Junior sister has something to ask Senior Brother Zhu. I wonder if Senior Brother Zhu has the time? Jiang Pinghui's voice was very gentle, and it made people feel like they were bathed in the spring breeze. Zhu Wenlin laughed foolishly, rubbed his head, and quickly nodded. Junior sister, feel free to ask. As long as Senior Brother Zhu can do it, I will satisfy you. Zhu Wen held his forehead, and he secretly cursed in his heart. This Zhu Wenlin was really a blockhead. Couldn't he see that Jiang Pinghui came to find him for the so-called soul secret technique? Seeing that Zhu Wenlin agreed so readily, Jiang Pinghui's beautiful eyes flashed, and she said with a charming smile, I heard from Senior Brother Chu that you have a soul secret technique. Junior sister, recently, my pill array Dao is about to break through, but my soul secret technique is still lacking. I wonder if Senior Brother Zhu has the time to let Junior sister have a look at the soul secret technique? Senior Brother Zhu, don't worry. Junior sister won't take Senior Brother Zhu for free. I also have a remnant copy of a soul secret technique. I can temporarily leave it with you as a deposit. Jiang Pinghui lowered her posture very low, and her voice was even gentle like the sound of nature. Zhu Wenlin had long been turned numb all over by Jiang Pinghui's voice, his mind wandering. However, when he heard soul secret technique, his entire body trembled, and his expression immediately changed. This soul secret technique, he definitely did not have it. Even if he wished to take out 100 soul secret techniques for Jiang Pinghui, he did not have it either. After all, he did not have this thing. Zhu Wen's eyes revealed a look of interest. He was originally planning on letting Zhu Wenlin send this Jiang Pinghui away. But hearing that Jiang Pinghui actually had a remnant copy of a soul secret technique on her, he was immediately interested. Junior sister Jiang, it's actually like this. Zhu Wenlin was originally planning on refusing, but Zhu Wen interrupted him. Senior sister Jiang, I can naturally lend that soul secret technique to you. Inside here is Senior Brother Zhu's remnant copy of soul secret technique. I went to his place to borrow it a few days ago to view it. I want to learn it and haven't returned it to Senior Brother yet. Zhu Wen took out a jade slip and handed it to Jiang Pinghui. This jade slip recorded a portion of the contents of the soul sword essence. He had refined it on the spot on purpose. This portion of the contents could only be used for comprehension and could not be cultivated at all. After all, the contents of the jade slip were not complete. No matter how talented Jiang Pinghui was, it was impossible for her to learn the soul sword essence through this portion of the contents. Jiang Pinghui took the jade slip and casually scanned it with her divine sense. Immediately, she revealed a look of joy. Although the contents of the soul sword essence in the jade slip Zhu Wen gave her were incomplete, it was very beneficial for her to comprehend and perfect her soul. Thank you. Jiang Pinghui thanked Zhu Wen, took out a jade slip, and handed it to Zhu Wenlin, saying, This is the soul secret technique that I obtained. Senior Brother Zhu, please take a look at it. Obviously, Jiang Pinghui did not take Zhu Wen seriously. In her opinion, Zhu Wen might be Zhu Wen's servant, so she did not waste time talking nonsense with him. Zhu Wenlin took the jade slip and hurriedly waved his hand, saying, I trust junior sister Jiang. There is no need to check it. Zhuowen's forehead was full of black lines. This Zhu Wenlin was too unreliable. He was not prepared to check it. Fortunately, Zhuowen's soul was strong. After checking the contents of the jade slip in Zhu Wenlin's hand and confirming that it was indeed the contents of some soul secret technique, he withdrew his divine sense. Thank you, Senior Brother Zhu. I will enter the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's pavilion first. Jiang Pinghui smiled sweetly, turned around, and entered the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's pavilion. Chu Xiangdi followed closely behind. Brother Zhu, we can go now. Zhuowen patted Zhu Wenlin's shoulder. Only then did the latter come to his senses and scratch his head in embarrassment. Master, this jade slip is for you. Zhu Wenlin transmitted his voice to Zhuowen, and secretly passed the jade slip that Jiang Pinghui gave him to Zhuowen. Zhuowen took the jade slip without batting an eyelid and entered the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's pavilion with Zhu Wenlin. Although there were many people in the square, the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's pavilion was not small. Therefore, all the participants in the grand competition of the Immortal City in the square quickly entered the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's pavilion. Yu Jinghuan kept the array flag, and the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's pavilion's door closed again. The surrounding array rippled, and the grand array overlapped. At the same time, many light spots began to appear on the first floor of the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's pavilion. These light spots were like stars, constantly flickering and moving inside. Chapter 3496. Strange Light Spots. Great Elder, Jiang Pinghui is the most likely person to reach the top among all the people who have entered the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. Let me congratulate you in advance. The second elder, Gong Yushu, who was standing beside Yu Jinghuan, laughed heartily as he cupped his fists at Yu Jinghuan. The other elders also congratulated Yu Jinghuan in advance. They all thought highly of Jiang Pinghui. After all, she was the best in alchemy array among the younger generation. Second elder, your disciple, Chu Xiangdi, is not bad either. I remember that his alchemy array skills have reached the peak of the creation grade not long ago. He is not weaker than Pinghui. Yu Jinghuan shook his head. Although he said that, his face was filled with gratification. Xiangdi's talent is not bad, but compared to Pinghui, he is still lacking. Great Elder, you don't have to thank me, Gong Yushu said with a faint smile. Yu Jinghuan did not say anything. His gaze fell on the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. He had already noticed that 2 light spots had entered the second level. That's fast. It hasn't been long and 2 people have already entered the second level. They should be Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi, Gong Yushu said with a smile. Yu Jinghuan nodded with a smile on the corner of his mouth. Jiang Pinghui was his favorite student, and the better the latter performed, the brighter his face would be. At the same time, the light spots on the first level disappeared and a few rays of light appeared in the square. Those who had been eliminated were sent out of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. As time passed, the number of people who were sent out gradually increased. The moment Zhuowen entered the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial, he felt his body sink. A blazing white light rushed toward him, causing him to be unable to open his eyes. After his eyes had adjusted to the white light, Zhuowen could see his surroundings clearly. What appeared in front of him was a huge pavilion. Inside, there were rows of bookshelves. The bookshelves were made of white jade, and they emitted a crystal-clear light. They were bright and dazzling. Books were neatly arranged on the bookshelves. Zhuowen casually browsed through and discovered that these records were all related to alchemy formations. The pavilion was very spacious and bright, but Zhuowen was surprised to find that he was the only one in such a large space, and there was no one else around. But how was that possible? So many people had gone in, and the pavilion should have been filled with people. However, after he entered, he was the only one there. Zhuowen suddenly discovered that a book on the bookshelf in front of him had disappeared into thin air. After a while, one of the books on the other bookshelf disappeared, and he sensed the energy ripples of the array breaking. In other words, the restriction on the bookshelf had been broken right before his eyes, but there was no one in front of him. So that's how it is. You used formations to set up so many parallel spaces? Everyone who enters the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion will enter a corresponding parallel space, and the books in these parallel spaces are shared. Zhuowen came to a realization. It was because of the countless parallel spaces set up by the Array Dao, and because the books on the bookshelf were shared, that the books on the bookshelf in front of him had disappeared into thin air. To be more precise, they did not disappear into thin air. Instead, a cultivator from another parallel space had broken the restriction on the bookshelf and taken away these books. Zhuowen walked around and discovered that the books on the first floor were more basic and shallow. Even if he studied them, they would not be of much use to him. He only had the opportunity to obtain those 3 books. Among them, the True Pill Array Records and the 6 Desires Spirit Congealing Sage Pill Recipe were things he had to obtain. Moreover, these 2 books were very precious and were at the top of the pavilion. Zhuowen found a staircase in the corner. However, there was a restriction on the staircase. If he wanted to go up the staircase, he had to break the restriction. The restriction on the first floor was not strong. To Zhuowen, it could be easily torn apart. Zhuowen went up level by level. Soon, he arrived at the 20th floor. The books on the 20th floor were beginning to be interesting. At least, it had already aroused Zhuowen's interest. Not enough. Zhuowen shook his head and continued to climb up the stairs. He was very clear that if he wanted to find a book that was useful to him, he would have to go at least above the 60th floor. Following that, Zhuowen quickly went up, almost without stopping. Great Elder, there is a light spot that is extremely fast. It instantly surpassed the first 2 light spots. Who is this light spot? Outside the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion, an elder in the elder group pointed at an inconspicuous light spot that surpassed the 2 light spots that represented Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi. The light spots represented by Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi were originally far ahead. At this moment, they had already reached the 45th floor. However, this 3rd light spot was very strange. In just 10 breaths of time, it actually went from the 20th floor to the 46th floor. It was 1 floor higher than Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi. Great Elder Yu Jinghuan also noticed this light spot. He frowned and said in a low voice, "This is really strange. There is actually someone who is faster than Jiang Pinghui and Xiangdi. This kind of guy, in the Pill Array Immortal City, is definitely not a nobody. Why have I never heard of him?" Yu Jinghuan thought for a while but still could not figure out the identity of this light spot. In his opinion, among the younger generation in the Pill Array Immortal City, Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi were the most outstanding. The rest of the younger generation were still lacking. Let's wait and see. Who knows, this light spot might be Jiang Pinghui. Gong Yushu laughed. Second Elder is right. This person might be Jiang Pinghui or Xiangdi. Previously, he might have stayed below for too long. Now, he suddenly increased his speed. Yu Jinghuan also agreed. He also thought that in the Pill Array Immortal City, there would suddenly appear a Dark Horse level junior who could surpass Jiang Pinghui and Chu Xiangdi. Look, that light spot actually went up 20 floors in just 10 breaths of time. It actually reached the 66th floor. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. Yu Jinghuan and Gong Yushu's body trembled. They quickly looked over and saw that the strange light spot had indeed reached the 66th floor. Moreover, it was still climbing. In just a short while, it had already reached the 70th floor. The 2 light spots closest to this light spot were still at the 50th floor. There was a difference of 20 floors. This difference was too obvious. Yu Jinghuan frowned. The higher the floor of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion, the more terrifying the restrictions were. The restrictions on the 70th floor were already very terrifying. With Jiang Pinghui's level, it was actually a bit difficult for her to reach the 70th floor. Could it be that this light spot is really not Jiang Pinghui? Chapter 3497. Doubt, is it the 70th floor already? Yuan tore open the seal on the 69th floor and walked up to the 70th floor. He found that there were far fewer bookshelves on this floor. There were only a few bookshelves in the vast space. However, the bookshelves on this floor were made of high-quality materials. They were sparkling and translucent, as if they were forged from some kind of extremely precious jade. Zhuowen began to use his divine will to browse. He found that the level of books on this floor was very high. Basically, they were all at the ascension level. Of course, most of them were at the early stage of the ascension level, as well as some high-grade pill recipes. Zhuowen retracted his divine will, a look of regret in his eyes. He did not find the recipe for the 6 Desires Spirit Condensation Saint Pill on this floor. There are still 11 floors left. The recipe for the 6 Desires Spirit Condensation Saint Pill should be on one of the next 11 floors. Zhuowen muttered to himself. He came to the stairs leading to the 71st floor, but he soon stopped. His expression became very serious. He found that in addition to the seal on the stairs, there was a very powerful sealing power. This sealing power was very strong. It was at the late stage of the ascension level. It was impossible for an ordinary divine formation master to break it. What's going on? Why is there an additional sealing power on the stairs? And this sealing power is so strong. Zhuowen frowned. He found it a little hard to believe. He had a feeling that this sealing power was deliberately set up here. The purpose was to tell those who entered that the next floors were forbidden to enter. Haha, only the 70th floor is open? It's a pity that my target is the last floor. Zhuowen sneered. He took out several beast bone formation discs and began to break the sealing power on the stairs. The sealing power of the late stage of the ascension level was nothing to him. After all, his formation Tao had reached the half-step heaven breaker level. Crack! After a while, the sealing power shattered. Zhuowen put away the beast bone formation discs and tore them apart. The sealing power on the stairs collapsed inch by inch. Zhuowen took a step forward and climbed up the stairs, entering the 71st floor. Yu Jinghuan frowned slightly, but her gaze was fixed on the light spot on the 70th level of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. He suspected that this dot of light might not be his disciple, Jiang Pinghui. But if it was not Jiang Pinghui, then who could it be? Grand Elder, congratulations! Pinghui really hid her strength well. Her alchemy skills had actually reached such a terrifying level. She must have already broken through to the ascending heaven level. Such a young heaven ascending Pill Array Grandmaster is rarely seen in our Pill Array Immortal City in 10,000 years. Gong Yushu smiled. He had no doubt that the light on the 70th floor was Jiang Pinghui, who was congratulating Yu Jinghuan. The other members of the elder group also followed suit, praising Jiang Pinghui's extraordinary talent and her future achievements. However, there was only one person in the Council of Elders who narrowed his eyes as he stared at the light of the 70th level. He seemed to be in a daze, and his eyes were filled with worry. This person was Buyang Rong. Among them, he was the only one who knew that the speck of light did not represent Jiang Pinghui, but Zhuowen. He had already experienced Zhuowen's alchemy skills. It was definitely above his, and at least at the ascending heaven level. It could be said that Zhuowen was the genius with the highest alchemy skills among all the participants in the grand competition of the Immortal City. However, he could not say it, nor did he dare to say it. He could only watch silently. He was really worried that Zhuowen would reach the highest level and obtain the true alchemy array record. If that happened, then it would be really troublesome. Even the immortal city lord would be alarmed. That Zhuowen should not be able to reach the highest level. No matter how strong his alchemy skills are, can he be like the immortal city lord, whose alchemy skills are half a step into the ascending heaven level? Buyang Rong shook his head and relaxed a little. He did not think that Zhuowen had the strength to reach the final level. As long as the true alchemy array record was not affected, then Zhuowen's performance would at most shock the entire immortal city. It would not attract the immortal city lord's attention. At that time, this Zhuowen would not blame him and would leave the alchemy array Dao domain. Then, he and Zhu Wenlin would be truly free. If it's really Pinghui, then it's naturally for the best. If it's other young geniuses, then it's our immortal city's fortune to have such a monstrous genius appear. Yu Jinghuan's words were very beautiful, and many of the surrounding elders nodded repeatedly. However, this light spot should have reached the peak, and it's unlikely that it will continue to rise. The immortal city lord has only opened the 70th level to the public. After the 70th level, basically no one can crack it and enter. Yu Jinghuan continued. His gaze was very calm as he spoke with assurance. Grand Elder, are you sure that the 70th level has been sealed by the immortal city lord? Suddenly, Gong Yushu's expression froze, and his gaze was very strange as he asked. Yu Jinghuan did not see the strange expression on Gong Yushu's face and said with some displeasure, "This is what the immortal city lord personally told me. Could it be false?" Gong Yushu smiled bitterly and pointed at the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Grand Elder, look over there. That light spot is moving again. Moving again? Did he go down? Yu Jinghuan turned his head and looked at the 70th level of the Alchemy Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion. Very quickly, he was stunned. That light spot was indeed not on the 70th level, but it was not on the 69th level either. It was on the 71st level. In other words, the owner of the light spot had broken through the restrictions on the 70th level's stairs and entered the 71st level. This fellow entered the 71st level? Yu Jinghuan was dumbstruck. He was truly shocked. He was very clear that after the 70th level, every level had an additional type of sealing power in addition to the ordinary restrictions. Moreover, the higher the level, the more terrifying the sealing power was. For example, the sealing power on the stairs to the 71st level was already at the late-stage heaven ascension level. The following levels would only be more terrifying. But now, this light spot had actually entered the 71st level. It was obvious that he had broken through the sealing power. Didn't that mean that the cultivator represented by this light spot was at least at the late-stage heaven ascension level? This was even higher than many of the elders in the elder group. Grand Elder, Ping Hui's alchemy array skills have increased too quickly. He has already reached the late-stage heaven ascension level. Gong Yushu also found it unbelievable. He licked his lips and asked somewhat embarrassedly. This light spot is not Ping Hui. Ping Hui's alchemy array skills are indeed very strong, but he is only at the peak of the creation level. He has not reached the heaven ascension level. There is no way he could have broken through the sealing power on the 70th level. Yu Jinghuan said with certainty. Gong Yushu smiled bitterly and did not say anything. He actually did not believe that this light spot was Jiang Pinghui, let alone Chu Xiangdi. Who is this person? Yu Jinghuan narrowed his eyes. He was really curious about who this light spot that had suddenly appeared was. Just who was this person? How could his array skills be so high? With this level of skill, even in the Alchemy Array Immortal City, he could be ranked at the peak. Grand Elder, that light spot has already entered the 72nd level. Gong Yushu licked his lips and smiled bitterly. Chapter 3498. Finding the elixir formula on the 75th floor, there were only 5 bookshelves. All the books were at the middle stage of the heavenly ascension level and were extraordinary. However, Zhuowen did not care about them. Moreover, there was no elixir formula for the Six Desires spiritual condensation Saint elixir on this floor. Zhuowen continued to move forward. He had to admit that the sealing power on each floor was more terrifying than the previous one. When Zhuowen reached the 79th floor, the sealing power had reached the peak of the heavenly ascension level. After Zhuowen broke through the sealing power, he jumped to the 80th floor. The space on the 80th floor was not as big as the previous floors. There was only one bookshelf, which was made of some kind of precious golden jade. There were not many books on the bookshelf. There were only a few dozen books. However, every book was at the peak of the heavenly ascension level. If they were in the outside world, they would be treasures that people would fight over. Most of the books here were about elixir formulas. Only a few of them were about array formation. Zhuowen's eyes lit up. He saw a familiar elixir formula on the left side of the bookshelf. It was the elixir formula for the Six Desires spiritual condensation Saint elixir that he had been looking for. Zhuowen was delighted. He started to break the restriction on the surface of the Six Desires spiritual condensation Saint elixir. The restriction was not strong. It was only at the peak of the heavenly ascension level. Zhuowen did not spend too much time to break the restriction on the surface of the elixir formula. When he got the elixir formula, he was overjoyed. He knew that with the elixir formula, Moyan Wushang could be saved. After all, he had gathered all the ingredients for the Six Desires spiritual condensation Saint elixir. Now, all that was left was the steps to make the Six Desires spiritual condensation Saint elixir. Zhuowen kept the elixir formula solemnly and looked at the stairs in the corner. He knew that the stairs were the last obstacle to the 81st floor of the Elixir Array Celestial Monarch's Pavilion. On the last floor, there was the remnant of the true Elixir Array record. Zhuowen wasn't in a hurry to enter the last level. Instead, he carefully read through the other books on the bookshelf. He chose a book called The True Explanation of the Alchemy Tao of Past Generations of Immortal City Lords. Zhuowen's alchemy Tao was still a bit away from breaking through to the half-step Heaven Breaker tier. He urgently needed more complete alchemy Tao manuals for him to comprehend and break through. And this book just so happened to satisfy his requirement. He knew that the past lords of Immortal City were all pill formation grandmasters who were half a step into the Heaven Breaker realm. The quintessence scriptures they wrote would definitely be of great benefit to him. After taking the two books, Zhuowen walked to the stairs. Half-step Heaven Breaker sealing power. Zhuowen stood at the top of the stairs and carefully observed the sealing power covering the stairs. His eyes revealed a look of surprise. It seemed like the Immortal City Lord attached great importance to the true pill formation record on the last floor. He actually set up a half-step Heaven Breaker seal here. It could be said that he had put in a lot of effort. Zhuowen's eyes were very serious as he examined the seal. He discovered that the Immortal City Lord's level was even higher than his. If he wanted to break through this seal, he would most likely need to spend a lot of time and effort to do so. Zhuowen took out the Beast Bone Formation disc and began to crack the seal. At the same time, he threw the quintessence scriptures of the past lords of Immortal City to his clone in the Great World to study. He hoped that he could gain inspiration from this book and find an opportunity to break through his alchemy Tao level. Just as Zhuowen was in the process of cracking the seal, the outside of the pill formation Immortal Monarch's Pavilion was very lively. Cultivators were constantly being teleported out of the pill formation Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. The originally spacious square began to appear a little crowded at this moment. Most of the cultivators who were teleported out of the pill formation Immortal Monarch's Pavilion immediately focused their attention on the light spot on the 80th floor. Heavens, who the hell is this person? He actually made it to the 80th floor. He's simply a god. It might be Jiang Pinghui. She's the strongest genius of the younger generation in our pill formation immortal city. Other than her, I really can't think of anyone else. Even if it's that Jiang Pinghui, that's still a little exaggerated. Since the beginning of time, there have only been two people who have the ability to reach the 80th floor. One is the Lord of the Immortal City, and the other is the Great Elder of the Immortal City. It's impossible for there to be such a genius in the younger generation. Everyone was discussing animatedly, guessing the identity of the light spot on the 80th floor. Zhu Wenlin was mixed in with the crowd. His expression was somewhat complicated. He knew that the light spot on the 80th floor was Zhuowen. He had already tried his best to overestimate Zhuowen, but he still did not expect that Zhuowen would be so strong to be able to reach the 80th floor. At this moment, there were only 3 light spots left in the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. Other than the high and mighty light spot on the 80th floor, there were 2 light spots below. One was around the 50th floor, and the other was around the 45th floor. Suddenly, the light spot on the 45th floor disappeared and a teleportation light appeared. Everyone's gaze involuntarily fell on the teleportation light. When the light faded, everyone realized that it was Chu Xiangdi. Chu Xiangdi's eyes were filled with excitement. He should have found a suitable manual in the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. Chu Xiangdi walked to Gong Yushu's side. His gaze fell on the 50th floor of the Pill Formation Immortal Monarch's Pavilion. He smiled and said, as expected of junior sister Jiang, "She can actually reach the 50th floor. The first place in this competition will definitely belong to her." Gong Yushu sighed softly and said, "Xiangdi, look at the 80th floor. Jiang Pinghui won't be the first place in this competition." Chu Xiangdi was stunned and subconsciously raised his head to look at the 80th floor. He also saw a flickering light spot there. It was like a star. Someone entered the 80th floor? Who is it? Chu Xiangdi's eyes widened in disbelief. He could not help but exclaim. Gong Yushu shook his head and said, "I'm not sure either. We can't think of it. Now we can only wait. When the light spot on the 80th floor appears, we will know the true identity of this person." Suddenly, the entire square was in an uproar. It was very noisy, like a roaring wave. "That light spot has entered the 81st floor. My God, this is too unbelievable." In the square, it was unknown who said this sentence, but it attracted the attention of countless people. Then, the entire square quieted down. When the elders saw this scene, they all sucked in a breath of cold air and became mute in an instant. Yu Jinghuan's body trembled. He stared at the light spot on the 81st floor. He opened his mouth but could not say anything. He was too shocked. He was shocked. Buyang Rong, who was in the elders' group, was extremely pale. He thought to himself, "It's over." When the square fell into silence, standing in the center of the Pill Formation Immortal City, in the deepest part of the huge Pill Formation building, a man in a long robe suddenly opened his eyes. In his eyes there seemed to be an endless sea, mysterious and deep. Someone actually reached the last floor. How did this person do it? I need to go and take a look. Chapter 3499. Pill Array True Record Remnant. At this moment, there was a huge crowd in the square outside the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. However, at that moment the enormous plaza that was filled with countless people was extremely quiet. In fact, it was so quiet that it was strange. Their actions were in sync as they stared at the light spot on the 81st floor of the Pavilion of Alchemy Array Immortal. They were dumbstruck and did not move an inch. Whoosh! A terrifying piercing sound broke the strange silence in the square. A middle-aged man in a long robe appeared in front of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial as if he had teleported. His appearance was very ordinary, but his eyes were extremely deep, as if they contained a vast sea of stars. The arrival of the middle-aged man immediately attracted everyone's attention. The great elder of the celestial city narrowed his eyes and quickly stepped forward. He bowed respectfully and said, "Yu Jinghuan greets the master of the celestial city." After Yu Jinghuan said that, the group of elders behind him stepped forward and bowed as well. Everyone in the square gasped. They did not expect the master of the celestial city, who had been in seclusion, to come out of seclusion. Did he come specifically for the cultivator on the top floor of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial? Duan Qingyao glanced at Yu Jinghuan and pointed at the light spot on the 81st floor. He asked, "Great Elder, who is this person?" Yu Jinghuan's eyes flickered and he blushed. He said, "Master of the Celestial City, actually, I don't know who this person is. He seems to have appeared out of nowhere." "You don't know?" Duan Qingyao frowned and his magnetic voice was slightly displeased. Yu Jinghuan's face turned even redder. As the great elder of the celestial city and the host of the grand competition, it was embarrassing that he did not know who the contestant was. "Forget it. When this person is teleported out, we will know who he is." Duan Qingyao waved his hand and did not dwell on this matter. He walked to the side of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial and looked at the light spot on the top floor as if he was in deep thought. No one in the group of elders dared to disturb him. Everyone in the square was afraid of Duan Qingyao's power and did not dare to make a noise. The surroundings were even quieter than before. At this moment, the light spot on the 50th floor disappeared and a teleportation light appeared in front of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. The light disappeared and a figure she was Jiang Pinghui. Jiang Pinghui was calm. Translation. 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 She knew that she was the grand competition of the celestial city. Moreover, her harvest this time was quite bountiful. The 3 ancient books she found were of great help to her. She walked to Yu Jinghuan's side and immediately noticed that the atmosphere was a little strange. This was because she realized that her master's expression was rather reserved. Even when he saw her come out, there was only a forced smile on his face. His smile was very forced. Soon after, Jiang Pinghui noticed the figure beside the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion, who was looking up at the top of the pavilion. "Master? Master of? Master?" Jiang Pinghui's pupils shrank in shock. She couldn't help but murmur softly. Didn't they say that the master of the celestial city was not going to host the grand competition of the celestial city? Why did he appear now? Duan Qingyao ignored Jiang Pinghui. His gaze was still on the light spot on the 81st floor of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. He was in deep thought. Who was it that had the ability to enter the top floor? He was the only one in the entire Pill Array Celestial City who had the ability to do so. Even great elder Yu Jinghuan did not have the ability. But now there was one more person. Since this person could participate in the grand competition of the Celestial City, he must be very young. "Master, what's going on? Why is the master of the Celestial City here? I'm the last one to come out. The grand competition should have ended." Jiang Pinghui felt that the atmosphere was strange. Logically speaking, since she was the winner of this year's competition, everyone should be cheering and celebrating. The entire square should be in an uproar. But now the atmosphere was too quiet. After she came out, not many people paid attention to her. Jiang Pinghui was bewildered. Yu Jinghuan saw Jiang Pinghui's strange expression and smiled bitterly. "Pinghui, do you think you're first in the grand competition?" Jiang Pinghui frowned and said, "Am I not?" Yu Jinghuan smiled bitterly and pointed at the top floor of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. "Look there." Jiang Pinghui looked up. She noticed that there was a light spot on the 81st floor of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial. The light spot was shining like a star. Someone reached the top floor? How is this possible? Jiang Pinghui's body froze. Her mouth was slightly open. She did not know what to say. She was in disbelief. The top floor of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial had terrifying restrictions. Only the master of the Celestial City had the ability to enter. Even her master did not have the ability to do so. But among the participants this time there was such a person. She could not imagine. Jiang Pinghui sighed and said faintly, "The Pill Array Celestial City is really full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. I have always thought of myself as the first in the younger generation. Now it seems like it's really laughable." "Master, who is this person? His pill array level is probably higher than yours." Yu Jinghuan was a little embarrassed and smiled. "Actually, I'm not sure. We can't confirm the identity of this light spot. We can only recognize him after he is sent out." Jiang Pinghui's beautiful eyes revealed a strange expression. Even her master did not know who this person was. This was too strange. Jiang Pinghui did not ask anymore. She looked at the light spot on the top floor. She was looking forward to the moment when this person was sent out. She did not know who he was. At the stairs of the pavilion of the Pill Array Celestial, a figure slowly walked up. "The restriction on the top floor is really terrifying. I spent a tremendous amount of effort to barely break the restriction and come up here," Zhuowen muttered to himself. He stood at the entrance of the stairs and looked at the last floor. He realized that the environment of the last floor was like an ordinary loft. There were wooden pillars and windows around it. There were also desks, chairs, and various other items. It was like a quiet study room. The most eye-catching thing was the sandalwood bookshelf in the corner of the study room. The bookshelf was not big and there was only one level. On the bookshelf, there was a broken ancient book floating. The ancient book was covered in a yellow and white color. It was emitting a faint light. The True Pill Array Records broken book. Zhuowen's eyes lit up when he saw the broken book. He was filled with excitement. He was very familiar with this ancient book. He also had a part of the broken book. The aura of the two was almost the same. What a powerful restriction! Chapter 3500. Breakthrough in Alchemy. Dao He discovered that the restrictions on the True Alchemy Array Record were even more powerful than the restrictions on the stairs. Moreover, there wasn't just one type of restriction here. There were many types, and they were almost layered together to form an extremely complicated net of restrictions. Every restriction in this group of restrictions was of a very high level. They were all half a step into the Heaven Breaker tier. The combination of so many half-step Heaven Breaker level restrictions was very terrifying and complicated. Zhuowen felt slightly helpless. He knew that if he wanted to completely break through the restrictions on this place, he would probably need more than a month. However, Zhuowen wasn't discouraged. There was no time limit for this competition, and the teleportation conditions were to obtain 3 books or fail to break the formation. Therefore, he wasn't worried about not having enough time. Zhuowen sat down cross-legged, took out the Beast Bone formation disc, and began to focus on breaking the formation. He had a feeling that if he succeeded in deciphering this complex restriction group, it would be of great benefit to his Array Dao level, and it would definitely improve rapidly. Time gradually passed, and in the blink of an eye, 1.5 months had passed. During this 1.5 months, Zhuowen had basically been breaking the restrictions on the True Alchemy Array Record. Suddenly, Zhuowen's eyes lit up, and excitement appeared on his face. The restriction in front of him began to fluctuate violently, and the layers of restrictions began to ripple violently. Zhuowen knew that the restriction was about to be broken. Crack! Finally, a loud cracking sound appeared in front of him. The complex restriction around the True Alchemy Array Record began to collapse, and finally completely shattered, revealing the true appearance of the True Alchemy Array Record. This remnant scroll looked very damaged, but when Zhuowen touched it, He felt like he was touching a high-quality cloth, and he couldn't bear to part with it. Zhuowen suppressed his excitement and held the remnant scroll in his hand. At the same time, he took out the True Alchemy Array record that he had obtained before. When the True Alchemy Array record and the remnant scroll came close, they emitted a platinum light. Then, the two scrolls began to float and finally came close to each other. The moment they came together, the light was so dazzling that Zhuowen couldn't open his eyes. After a while, the light faded and a brand new book floated in front of him. It was the complete True Alchemy Array record. Zhuowen received the True Alchemy Array record, and his body trembled with excitement. He had finally obtained the complete True Alchemy Array record. This also meant that he would obtain the complete inheritance of the Alchemy Array Celestial Lord. Huh? Why haven't I been teleported out? Zhuowen suddenly thought of something, and his eyes revealed a look of surprise. He had already obtained 3 books, and according to the rules of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch Pavilion, he should have been teleported out. But now, the teleportation power didn't move at all. Could it be because this is the last level? Zhuowen thought in his heart, but he couldn't hide his excitement. If this was really the reason, then wouldn't he be able to stay here for as long as he wanted? Zhuowen didn't think about anything else, and he began to read the True Alchemy Array record. Gradually, he became engrossed. Zhuowen flipped through the pages of the True Alchemy Array record, and the tadpole-like words reflected in Zhuowen's eyes. Soon, Zhuowen entered a state of enlightenment. Ever since Zhuowen's divine soul merged with the primordial stone, his perception was too terrifying. His cultivation speed was unbelievably fast. Zhuowen first comprehended the alchemy Tao. As he read the True Alchemy Array record, he also combined it with the True Alchemy Array record with the past Immortal City Lord. His alchemy Tao level rose rapidly. 10 days later, Zhuowen's eyes were closed, but he had already taken out the Emperor Pill Furnace and a pile of herbs. Moreover, these herbs were all peak ascending grade divine herbs. If they were placed outside, it would cause countless experts to fight over them. Zhuowen's eyes were still closed. He was still in a state of enlightenment, but he began to refine pills. He wanted to refine a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill. Zhuowen threw precious divine herbs into the Emperor Pill Furnace. He also ignited the divine flame and began to refine pills. F***ck, is this kid crazy? Why did he put so many godly herbs in the sovereign pill furnace? My God, these are all peak ascending heaven's godly herbs. They're priceless. This brat is throwing them out like trash. He's trying to anger me to death. The pill sovereign turtle had already come out of the Emperor Pill Furnace. He gritted his teeth as he watched Zhuowen refine pills. His eyes were filled with hatred. He felt that Zhuowen was wasting God's resources. He threw all kinds of divine herbs into the Emperor Pill Furnace without classifying them. This wasn't refining pills at all. This was more like eating hot pot. Wait, why hasn't the Emperor Pill Furnace exploded yet? It's even releasing such a rich fragrance. I've never heard of this fragrance before. Could this guy really be refining a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill? The pill sovereign turtle was quickly attracted by the fragrance of the divine herbs in the Emperor Pill Furnace. Soon, he came back to his senses and had a guess. This kid is really not an ordinary person. I didn't misjudge him. He's a person who will achieve great things. After he refines a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill, I can only take one as interest. I've lived for so long, but I've never eaten a half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill. The pill sovereign turtle rubbed his hands. His saliva was flowing nonstop. It almost gathered into a small stream under his feet. Zhuowen was in an epiphany. Naturally, he didn't know what the pill sovereign turtle was thinking. In this state of enlightenment, Zhuowen's alchemy techniques were almost perfect, without any mistake. 5 days and 5 nights later, terrifying rays of light erupted from the Emperor Pill furnace, accompanied by an extremely rich fragrance. Bang! The lid of the furnace flew up, and 20 rays of light erupted from the furnace. If one looked closely, one would see the embryonic forms of babies in the 20 rays of light. They were very spiritual. The divine pills are done. Haha, divine pill babies, wait for me. The pill's sovereign turtle's saliva flowed into a straight line. He directly pounced on the nearest divine pill. However, he had just come into contact with this divine pill when a terrifying ray of light erupted from the surface of the divine pill. It directly blasted the pill's sovereign turtle away. Ouch! It hurts. The pill's sovereign turtle crashed onto the ground. His head was dizzy and his limbs were in the air. He couldn't even get up. At this moment, Zhuowen's eyes were still closed. However, his hands reached out. Like lightning, they transformed into afterimages in midair. Those 20 rays of light that flew out were all caught in Zhuowen's palm. Although these rays of light resisted fiercely, Zhuowen's suppression was even more terrifying. They couldn't struggle at all. Zhuowen slowly opened his eyes and put these 20 divine pills into a jade bottle. My alchemy skills have finally caught up with my array skills. I've advanced to the half-step heaven-breaking grade. A hint of a smile appeared at the corners of Zhuowen's mouth. He actually didn't have a half-step heaven-breaking grade pill recipe. Just now, when he refined the half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill, he completely relied on his alchemy intuition. He used the medicinal properties of the divine pills to explore and refine it himself. This divine pill could be said to be self-created by Zhuowen. He didn't even know what the effects of this half-step heaven-breaking grade divine pill that he occasionally refined were. Chapter 35:01. Peak of the First Decay, Brat. The divine pill you refined just now, could it be a half-step breaking heaven divine pill? The pill Emperor Turtle hurriedly came over, drooling all over its chin as it asked. Zhuowen shrugged and said, "My luck was better just now. I indeed refined a half-step breaking heaven divine pill." "Then haven't you already advanced to a half-step breaking heaven alchemist?" The pill Emperor Turtle asked incredulously. "What do you think?" Zhuowen said with a faint smile. As expected of the person that I, Lord Turtle, think highly of, your talent is indeed extraordinary." The pill Emperor Turtle rubbed its hands and continued, "That, brat, don't you think you should take out a divine pill to give to me as interest?" The pill Emperor Turtle's eyes were full of hope, and its drool flowed even more crazily. Zhuowen looked at the pill Emperor Turtle somewhat amusedly, took out a divine pill from the jade bottle, and handed it to the pill Emperor Turtle. One had to admit that this divine pill was indeed very extraordinary. The moment Zhuowen took out the divine pill, the surface of the divine pill erupted with multicolored light. And Zhuowen also noticed that the multicolored light erupting from the surface of the divine pill was actually the embryonic form of an infant, and it was very intelligent. Moreover, after this divine pill was taken out of the jade bottle, it actually planned to escape. If not for Zhuowen's strength being strong enough, this divine pill really might have escaped. The pill Emperor Turtle immediately took the divine pill, and had long been unable to hold back, and swallowed this divine pill into its stomach. Zhuowen silently looked at the pill Emperor Turtle, sizing it up very carefully. This half-step breaking heaven divine pill was completely in an epiphany, and it was a new divine pill that was refined according to the combination of various divine medicines' medicinal properties. He did not know the specific medicinal properties. Now that the pill Emperor Turtle had swallowed it, he could carefully observe the specific medicinal properties of this divine pill. The poor pill Emperor Turtle thought that it had taken a great advantage, but it did not know that it had already become Zhuowen's lab rat. Blazing multicolored light surged out of the pill Emperor Turtle's body, as if its entire body had turned into light. Zhuowen clearly saw that the Pill Emperor Turtle's body was actually expelling many impurities, and the Pill Emperor Turtle's body's meridians and physique actually improved greatly. Phew! This divine pill was truly miraculous. It actually gave Lord Tortoise the feeling of being reborn. Even I didn't expect my cultivation to improve so much. The Alchemy Emperor Turtle's face was filled with pleasant surprise. It was so comfortable that it kept crying out. The multicolored light that erupted from its body became even more intense, like a small sun. At this moment, the Pill Emperor Turtle seemed to have undergone some sort of sublimation. Its aura was also growing stronger. Zhuowen was pleasantly surprised. This was a half-step heaven-breaking grey divine pill that he had accidentally refined, and it actually had such a powerful rebirth effect. Isn't this a little too beneficial for cultivation? This pill will be called the Rebirth Pill from now on. Zhuowen smiled. Although the complete True Pill Array record contained many recipes for half-step heaven-breaking divine pills, the True Pill Array record didn't contain any of them. However, this rebirth pill was created by him after all, and it had an undeniable symbolic meaning. Zhuowen's eyes lit up. He took out a rebirth pill and swallowed it. Instantly, multicolored light erupted from his body, and a strong energy surged between his mouth and nose. This energy was simply too refreshing. It followed his meridians and circulated throughout his body, sweeping away all the impurities and hidden dangers in his body and excreting them. After a while, black impurities appeared on Zhuowen's body. It was very strong and it even smelled a little fishy. The powerful medicinal power of the rebirth pill was completely integrated into Zhuowen's body, causing Zhuowen's energy level to constantly soar, reaching a very high level. Zhuowen immediately activated the primordial chant. Purple light surrounded his body, and his figure flickered. He quickly refined the surging medicinal power in his body and converted it into broken divine power. Boom! Suddenly, a rumbling sound came from Zhuowen's body. His aura soared to a certain extent, and with the help of the rapid medicinal power, he directly broke through from the middle stage of the first heaven's decay to the late stage of the first heaven's decay. Zhuowen was still circulating the primordial chant, and he didn't have any intention of stopping. He took out another divine pill and swallowed it without any hesitation. He began to madly absorb the medicinal power to cultivate. This was a rare opportunity. He planned to use the rebirth pill to increase the cultivation level of his human body again. After all, with his comprehension ability, there weren't many bottlenecks before he broke through the heavens. Previously, he had slowed down his cultivation mainly to give himself enough time to consolidate his cultivation base. Now that he had gained some enlightenment again, he naturally planned to break through again. Zhuowen's body was shrouded in purple light, and his aura rapidly soared. Zhuowen discovered that after swallowing the first divine pill, the effects of the second one weren't as good as the first one. He didn't hesitate to take out 3 more divine pills. He activated the primordial chant to quickly absorb the medicinal power of the divine pills and replenish the energy in his body. The rate at which his aura soared instantly increased. Looks like it's still not enough. Zhuowen's brows furrowed slightly. He discovered that 5 divine pills were still not enough to break through to the peak of the first heaven's decay. Helplessly, he poured out 4 more divine pills from the jade bottle and swallowed them at the same time. His body erupted with a bright light that was too dazzling to look at. Several hours later, the light around Zhuowen's body gradually dimmed, but his aura had reached the peak. Then, there was a loud explosion in his body. He finally succeeded in breaking through to the peak of the first heaven's decay. Zhuowen's aura was very terrifying. His long hair fluttered, and he was like a demon god that had descended to the world. Phew! I've successfully broken through. The corners of Zhuowen's mouth curled up in excitement. He originally wanted to continue breaking through and directly break through to the second heaven's decay in one go. However, he discovered that the effect of the rebirth pill on him had become negligible. He knew that his body had already developed a resistance to the rebirth pill. Even if he swallowed all the remaining rebirth pills, he wouldn't be able to break through again. Unless he had other half-step heaven-breaking divine pills or higher-grade divine pills, he wouldn't be able to break through again. Zhuowen took out the pill formula for the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill and hesitated. He was hesitating whether he should refine the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill now. After leaving here, I'll find a quiet place to refine the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill. Zhuowen finally put away the pill formula. He didn't plan to refine the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill here. He knew that with his current level of alchemy, it was too easy to refine the 6 Desires Spirit-Congealing Saint pill. The reason why he hesitated was mainly because he wasn't prepared enough to face Moyan Wushang, who was about to wake up. There was no doubt that Moyan Wushang had sacrificed too much for Zhuowen during his time on the Heavenly Armor planet. Later, because of Zhuowen, he had become like this. Later, when Zhuowen found Mu Chenxue was also moved. She had already said that Moyan Wushang's feelings for Zhuowen were too deep. In addition, Moyan Wushang was originally a good sister of Mu Chenxue. Therefore, Mu Chenxue had agreed to let Zhuowen accept Moyan Wushang. Zhuowen sighed softly. Moyan Wushang was about to wake up, but he didn't know the whereabouts of Mu Chenxue. He made up his mind. Once the matter of the alchemy array Dao domain was settled, he would go to the old site of the Heavenly Armor planet in the monster territory. Chapter 3502. It's him. Zhuowen walked down from the 81st floor to the 80th floor. Soon after, he felt a teleportation energy wrap around his body. His guess was right. The teleportation energy of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion was completely ineffective on the 81st floor. The moment he left the 81st floor, he was immediately affected by the teleportation energy. Zhuowen did not resist the teleportation energy. He was enveloped by the teleportation light and disappeared from the spot. At this moment, the plaza outside the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion was still terrifyingly quiet. Everyone stared unblinkingly at the light spot on the top floor. Soon, they noticed that the light spot went down from the 81st floor to the 80th floor. Soon after, the light spot disappeared. Look, that light spot disappeared. This person is going to leave the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion. It's true. I really don't know who this person is. He's actually so awesome to reach the top floor of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion. The originally quiet square began to stir at this moment, becoming noisy and boisterous. Everyone became excited. They all wanted to see the true identity of that strange light spot. Standing below the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion, the Immortal City Lord Duan Qingyao squinted his eyes as he looked at the light spot that disappeared. He seemed to be very concerned. His expression revealed a strange expression. Like everyone else, he was also very curious about the identity of that light spot. Moreover, his expression did not look too good. This was because he had just discovered that the restrictions on the surface of the true Pill Array record that he had personally set up had been broken. This also meant that the true Pill Array record had been taken away by this person. However, Duan Qingyao quickly regained his calm. An indescribable smile appeared on his face. He was very confident. In his opinion, the true Pill Array record belonged to the Immortal City Lord of the Pill Array Immortal City. This person was able to enter the 81st floor and break the restrictions on the surface of the true Pill Array record. He was a rare talent. He was willing to let this person study the true Pill Array record for a period of time. Of course, this person had to join the Pill Array Immortal City and take him as the City Lord. He had to serve the Pill Array Immortal City in the future. Of course, if this person dared to disobey, Duan Qingyao would not mind making this person suffer. Duan Qingyao's Pill Array skills were very powerful. He had already reached the half-step heaven-crushing realm. His strength was also not weak. Moreover, he was also at the peak of the third blight. His strength was unparalleled. In Duan Qingyao's opinion, he was probably the only person in the entire starry sky of the lower realms who could reach the level of half-step heaven breaker in alchemy while also possessing such heaven-defying cultivation. It was already not easy for the cultivator represented by this dot of light to have such a high level of alchemy skills and to not be more than 10,000 years old. He did not think that this person's cultivation would be that strong. And in Duan Qingyao's opinion, this kind of pill array genius was the easiest to control. Duan Qingyao was very confident that he could firmly grasp this genius in his hands and use him in the future. And immortal monarchs. Immortal City's great elder Yu Jinghuan's eyes shone brightly. She raised her spirits and paid close attention. Jiang Pinghui, who was standing beside Yu Jinghuan, was also in high spirits. She was curious. What kind of person could reach the peak of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion? Under the gazes of countless people, the teleportation light finally appeared in the square. It was like a white pillar of light. It was extremely dazzling. Everyone's eyes widened the moment they saw the teleportation light. Their eyes were filled with eagerness and anticipation. However, two of them had bitter expressions on their faces. These two were naturally Bu Yangrong and Zhu Wenlin. A bitter smile hung on the corners of their mouth. They knew that Zhuo Wen might have already obtained the remnant true pill array record. They knew that Zhuo Wen had come here for the sake of obtaining the remnant pill formation true record. Thus, he was determined to retrieve it. Moreover, they also knew that the immortal city lord, Duan Qingyao, would definitely not allow Zhuo Wen to take away the pill array true record. Although they had seen Zhuo Wen's strength, they did not have any confidence in Zhuo Wen. In their hearts, Duan Qingyao, the city lord of the immortal city, was already a deified figure. In the entire Pill Array Immortal City, Duan Qingyao was like a god. Almost no one dared to go against Duan Qingyao, let alone go against his decision. When the time came, Zhuo Wen would definitely have a conflict with Duan Qingyao because of the true Pill Array record. When that time came, a huge battle would be unavoidable. If Zhuo Wen was lucky enough to escape, the two of them might still be able to survive. However, if Zhuo Wen was caught and found out that the two of them were protecting Zhuo Wen, the two of them would definitely die. However, they knew that the chances of Zhuo Wen escaping were close to zero. After all, this was the Pill Array Immortal City. It was completely under Duan Qingyao's control. Moreover, in this immortal city, there were even 6 formidable half-step heaven-shattering realm experts. Even if this Zhuo Wen had 3 heads and 6 arms, it was of no use. Sigh. How did things develop to this point? Bu Yangrong was deeply worried as he let out a sigh. The teleportation light finally faded, revealing Zhuo Wen's figure. As soon as Zhuo Wen appeared on the square, he felt countless gazes on him. His gaze was calm. When he ascended to the top floor of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's pavilion, he knew that he would cause a huge commotion in the square. It's him. Chu Xiangdi, who was standing beside Gong Yushu, couldn't help but exclaim. He had some impression of Zhuo Wen. Wasn't this guy Zhu Wenlin's junior brother, Zhuo Wen? Originally, he had completely ignored this person and didn't put him in his eyes. This was because he didn't even put Zhu Wenlin in his eyes, and this person was only Zhu Wenlin's junior brother. How could he put him in his eyes? However, now, Zhuo Wen's appearance was a ruthless slap to his face. He had suffered an extreme blow. Jiang Pinghui's beautiful eyes were also dazed. She also had some impression of Zhuo Wen, but it wasn't deep. She only knew that this person was Zhu Wenlin's junior brother. She didn't expect that this mysterious genius was actually that unremarkable youth from before. This was too unexpected. Xiangdi, you know this person? Gong Yushu couldn't help but ask when he saw Chu Xiangdi's strange state. When Gong Yushu said this, the elders' gazes all turned to Chu Xiangdi. Even the Immortal City's Grand Elder, Yu Jinghuan, looked at Chu Xiangdi curiously. Their elders' group knew nothing about this youth. They had never seen him before. Now that Chu Xiangdi seemed to know him, they were all very curious. Chu Xiangdi also realized that he had lost his composure. He calmed down and said with a complicated gaze, "I've met this person once before. I remember that he's called Zhuowen. I think he's Elder Bu Yangrong's new disciple, and also Zhu Wenlin's junior brother." What? Bu Yangrong's disciple? The elders' group was in an uproar. They all looked at Bu Yangrong at the same time. Chapter 3503. Flatly rejected. Yu Jinghuan looked at Bu Yangrong and asked in surprise, "Yangrong, is this person really your new disciple?" Yu Jinghuan's voice was filled with doubt. Bu Yangrong's alchemy skills were only at the peak of the creation grade, but Zhuowen was a half-step heaven-breaker grade alchemy grandmaster. With Zhuowen's skills, he should be Bu Yangrong's master, not his disciple. It wasn't just Yu Jinghuan. The surrounding elders all had doubtful looks in their eyes. Bu Yangrong's scalp went numb, and his heart was filled with bitterness. He could only brace himself and say, "This Zhuowen is indeed my new disciple. The alchemy skills he displayed were only at the Genesis grade. I didn't expect him to hide his skills so well." Bu Yangrong sighed in his heart. He could only use such a far-fetched reason to absolve himself. Oh? In other words, this Zhuowen deliberately concealed his alchemy skills to become your disciple? The city lord, Duan Qingyao, narrowed his eyes as he thought of something. He looked at the figure in front of the Pill Array Celestial Monarch's pavilion with an ugly expression. He suspected that this Zhuowen had snuck in for the true Pill Array record. But soon, Duan Qingyao calmed down. So what if this Zhuowen's goal was the true Pill Array record? So what if he got it? He knew that even if this Zhuowen got the true Pill Array record, he wouldn't be able to leave the Pill Array Celestial City. This was because the entire Pill Array Celestial City was under his control, and no one dared to disobey him. In Duan Qingyao's heart, this Zhuowen was already a turtle in a jar. He couldn't escape even if he had wings, and he could only let him do whatever he wanted. Jiang Pinghui's beautiful eyes were complicated. She was very intelligent, and she remembered that when she exchanged the Soul Mystic technique, it was Zhuowen who took it out. Previously, she really thought that the Soul Mystic technique belonged to Zhuowen, and it was temporarily in Zhu Wenlin's hands. Now that she thought about it, she realized that it was impossible for Zhu Wenlin to have something as important as a soul arcane art. After all, Zhu Wenlin's cultivation wasn't high and his alchemy skills were also ordinary. How could he possibly have such a lucky chance? In that case, the one who possessed the divine soul secret technique was definitely Zhuowen, who had concealed himself deeply. This person is really watertight. Even I was deceived by him. Jiang Pinghui murmured in a low voice. She looked at Zhuowen with a strange gaze. In the Pill Array Immortal City, Jiang Pinghui was the genius with the highest Pill Array level amongst the younger generation. She also had a perfect appearance and a hot figure. She could be said to be the goddess in the hearts of countless young men in the Pill Array Immortal City. She had countless pursuers. However, Jiang Pinghui was very arrogant and rejected batch after batch of suitors. Her ability was too strong, and she had high expectations for her other half. At the very least, the other half had to surpass her in terms of alchemy. Moreover, the other half had to be an extremely capable monstrous genius. Within the Pill Array Immortal City, only one person agreed with Jiang Pinghui's other half. That was the city lord, Duan Qingyao. However, Jiang Pinghui knew that Duan Qingyao was high and mighty, and it was difficult to get close to him. Although she admired Duan Qingyao, she also knew that it was impossible for her and Duan Qingyao to be together. The difference in status between the two was too big, and the difference in age was also very big. But now, a young man of similar age with an outstanding pill array level had suddenly appeared. Jiang Pinghui's heart felt strange, and the way she looked at Zhuowen also changed. At this moment, Zhuowen was like a javelin, standing in the same place. He quickly noticed that the leader of the elders was a middle-aged man wearing a long robe. His gaze became serious. He felt that this middle-aged man gave him a sense of danger. Moreover, the leader of the elders, the Grand Elder of the Immortal City, Yu Jinghuan, was standing behind the middle-aged man respectfully. Zhuowen was surprised. He guessed the identity of this person. He should be the city lord of the Pill Array Immortal City, Duan Qingyao. In the Pill Array Immortal City, only the city lord's position was higher than the elders. Zhuowen did not expect that even the city lord would come this time. This was an unprecedented grand occasion. At this moment, Duan Qingyao had a faint smile on his face as he walked towards Zhuowen. Yu Jinghuan led the elders group and followed closely behind Duan Qingyao. As for Buyang Rong, his face was not right, and it was pale without blood. At this moment, to him, it was too torturous. He even sent a voice transmission to Zhuowen, telling him that if Duan Qingyao asked for the remnant true pill array record, he better hand it over. Otherwise, he would not have a good ending. Unfortunately, Buyang Rong did not receive a reply. This made Buyang Rong even more nervous. Duan Qingyao came in front of Zhuowen and sized him up. He was surprised to find that Zhuowen's gaze was calm, and he was not nervous at all. "Do you know who I am?" Duan Qingyao smiled. "I know." Zhuowen nodded. "Oh? You know and you're still so calm?" Duan Qingyao asked curiously. "City Lord Duan, you can enter the top floor of the Pill Array Immortal Monarch's Pavilion, and I, Zhuowen, can do the same. When I see you, do I have to feel fear and trepidation?" Zhuowen replied calmly. Once those words were spoken, the group of elders looked at each other. They all felt that this Zhuowen was truly too arrogant. What he meant was that he and Duan Qingyao should be treated as equals, as if they were on equal footing. "Good. You're Zhuowen, right? You're the first person to say such words in front of me. I admire you very much. Join my Pill Array Immortal City and serve me. Then you'll be the new leader of the Elders Group, and the new Grand Elder of the Pill Array Immortal City. Moreover, I can lend you the remnant true Pill Array record to study for 100 days. This is the most lenient treatment I can give you," Duan Qingyao said calmly. Yu Jinghuan, who was standing behind Duan Qingyao, had a huge change in expression. However, he did not dare to say anything. Although he was the most powerful person in the Pill Array Immortal City, he was only second to the Immortal City Lord. However, his power was only for others. In front of the Immortal City Lord Duan Qingyao, he was like a paper tiger. Duan Qingyao could take away his power and life with a single sentence. Without a doubt, Duan Qingyao was the true master of the Pill Array Immortal City. Whoever disobeyed him would suffer. In the elders' group, Buyang Rong's eyes lit up. He knew that Duan Qingyao had taken a liking to Zhuowen's Pill Array standards. As long as Zhuowen agreed, then everything would be fine. Moreover, he would become the Grand Elder of the Pill Array Immortal City. This was simply a pie falling from the sky. However, Zhuowen shook his head and said calmly, "City Lord Duan, I'm afraid I can't accept this suggestion of yours. I'm already used to living a carefree life. I don't intend to receive any restrictions. Therefore, you should look for someone else." The moment these words were spoken, the surroundings went silent. No one had expected that Zhuowen would actually reject Duan Qingyao's generous offer. That was too gutsy of him. Buyang Rong and Zhuowen's faces were pale and their bodies were weak. They knew that they were finished. Not only was Zhuowen finished, they were also finished. After all, their fates were tied together with Zhuowen. Chapter 3504. Turn hostile. Do you still have a choice today? Duan Qingyao's gaze became gloomy. At the same time, 5 figures rushed over from the periphery of the square, erupting with 5 extremely terrifying auras. The terrifying auras filled the entire square, causing all the cultivators in the square to tremble. Some weaker cultivators directly knelt on the ground, unable to get up. That's a half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouse. Heavens, City Lord Duan actually summoned all the half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses in the Celestial City. Is he trying to show off his power to this kid? This person is also sick in the head. City Lord Duan kindly invited him to be the first elder of the Celestial City, which can be considered a great gift, but he actually didn't appreciate it. I think he regrets it now. The square was bustling with noise and excitement. They were all shocked by Duan Qingyao's actions. They didn't expect Duan Qingyao to actually summon all the half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses in the Celestial City. The 5 half-step heaven-breaking realm cultivators quickly landed in front of the Pill Formation Celestial Monarch Pavilion. They landed around Zhuowen, forming a circle and surrounding Zhuowen. Moreover, the 5 of them didn't hesitate to erupt with the strongest pressure in their bodies, wanting to intimidate Zhuowen and make him terrified. Zhuowen was very calm as he looked around at the 5 cultivators surrounding him. Among these 5 cultivators, the most eye-catching one should be an old man with a head full of white hair. This old man's cultivation was the highest among the 5, and he had already reached the early stage of the 3rd blight. As for the other 4, 2 were at the 2nd blight, and the other 2 were at the 1st blight. The elders had long retreated from the battle and stood far away, looking over. Duan Qingyao stood not far away from the encirclement. His gaze was cold as he said indifferently, "Zhuowen, this lord gave you a chance. But you didn't cherish it. I don't like to use force, but you forced me to use force." At this point, Duan Qingyao shook his head and continued, "How about this? You still swear to serve me and give me your soul imprint, and I'll spare your life. This is the last chance I'm giving you. You have to seize it." Zhuowen furrowed his brows. Qing Yao's attitude had changed so quickly. Just now, he even gave him the true pill formation record to study for 100 days and even gave him the position of Grand Elder of the Immortal City. But now, in the blink of an eye, Duan Qingyao actually wanted him to hand over his soul imprint, make him Duan Qingyao's slave, and threaten him with his life. It seemed that Duan Qingyao had long planned to do this, and was just looking for a way out. "Master! City Lord Duan, this is..." Jiang Pinghui's pretty face turned pale when she saw this scene, and she could not help but speak softly. Yu Jinghuan said softly, "Pinghui, you don't have to worry about this matter. Zhuowen had thoroughly offended City Lord Duan today. If he knew what was good for him, he could only become City Lord Duan's servant. I'll serve City Lord Duan for the rest of my life." Jiang Pinghui was silent. She looked at Zhuowen's back, her eyes filled with regret. She knew that this young talent with a bright future would lose his freedom in the future and become Duan Qingyao's slave, unable to escape for the rest of his life. In the square, everyone shook their heads. They could all imagine Zhuowen's miserable fate. "What are you still hesitating for? Hand over your soul imprint and you can live." Duan Qingyao saw that Zhuowen did not agree, so he lost his patience and his voice became much louder. Zhuowen's eyes were calm as he said, "What if I say no?" Duan Qingyao was startled. He did not expect that Zhuowen would still be so stubborn at this point. This guy did not want to live anymore, right? Duan Qingyao waved his hand and said coldly, "Teach him a lesson, but don't kill him." The 5 cultivators surrounding Zhuowen all nodded. Among them, a dark-skinned man laughed and said, Brothers, this guy's arms and legs are thin, so there's no need for you to do anything. I'll deal with him. The dark-skinned man was the weakest among the five, around the middle stage of the first blight. The dark-skinned man's words naturally received the approval of the other four. They looked at Zhuowen with disdain. Although this child's alchemy skills were very high, his cultivation aura was very weak. For the five of them to be arranged to deal with him was simply a waste of talent. However, they also knew that the city lord Duan Qingyao wanted to establish his might in front of everyone, so they could only cooperate. Boy, you really don't want to do things the hard way. Today, I'll let you know why flowers are so red. Don't worry, I won't kill you. At most, I'll beat you half to death. The dark-skinned man slowly walked over, his eyes full of contempt. He threw a punch at Zhuowen's nose. The dark-skinned man looked down on Zhuowen, so his punch was very casual and slow. But even so, he was still wrapped in the power of the first blight. It was enough to kill a peak powerhouse from Skyrend. Zhuowen sneered in his heart. This dark-skinned man was too arrogant. He actually threw a punch so casually. He was really courting death. When the dark-skinned man's fist was inches away, Zhuowen's right hand seemed to have teleported and appeared above the dark-skinned man's fist. His palm contained a mysterious purple light and he easily caught the dark-skinned man's huge fist. You actually caught it. It seems that you really hid your strength well. The dark-skinned man revealed a look of surprise, but soon, a sinister smile appeared on his face. His body erupted with terrifying energy and crackling sounds rang out. Boom! The dark-skinned man's fist erupted to an extremely terrifying degree in a short period of time. He wanted to directly penetrate Zhuowen's right hand. Unfortunately, he soon discovered that this move was not enough. The purple light in Zhuowen's palm became even more intense, like a purple sun. Then, the dark-skinned man felt an astonishing pain from his right fist. His right fist had been crushed by Zhuowen's palm and blood splattered everywhere. Pucci! The moment Zhuowen crushed the dark-skinned man's fist, his right hand clenched into a fist and directly punched out, slamming into the dark-skinned man's right hand. Suddenly, purple light erupted from the fist and turned the dark-skinned man's right hand into a bloody mist. The dark-skinned man was in a very sorry state. He constantly retreated and blood splattered everywhere. It looked like a sprinkler that had leaked and spilled all over the ground. Brother Chen, are you okay? Another middle-aged man quickly came behind the dark-skinned man and caught him. Only then did he stabilize the dark-skinned man. Among the five people, this middle-aged man's cultivation was only higher than the dark-skinned man's. His cultivation was at the late stage of the first blight and could only be ranked second to last among the five people. He had the best relationship with the dark-skinned man. At this moment, when he saw the dark-skinned man being beaten to such a state by Zhuowen, his eyes were filled with shock and anger. No, at this moment, the dark-skinned man's eyes were filled with horror and his face was unbelievably pale. In his body, there was a terrifying energy that was constantly raging, destroying his internal organs. That was the shattered divine power that was surging and exploding in the dark-skinned man's body. In the end, the dark-skinned man screamed and his entire body exploded into a bloody mist. Chapter 3505. Battle. The middle-aged man was too miserable. He was splashed with blood, and his sternum was heavily hit by a powerful explosion, causing it to cave in. Pucci! The middle-aged man spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face was unbelievably pale. He crashed heavily onto the ground, his body trembling, and his aura was weak. What happened? The three cultivators who were standing on the other side were shocked when they saw the dark-skinned man explode and the middle-aged man get caught in the explosion. The city lord, Duan Qingyao, who originally wanted to watch a good show, stiffened at this moment. He never thought that an accident would happen. You're a half-step heaven-breaking cultivator? Duan Qingyao stared fixedly at Zhuowen and asked word by word, but his heart was filled with waves. This Zhuowen was so young, and it was already a miracle that his alchemy skills had reached the half-step heaven-breaking level. However, this guy's cultivation had also reached the half-step heaven-breaking level. Was this defying the heavens? In the square, everyone was also stunned, and they also felt that it was inconceivable. Buyang Rong, who was in the group of elders, felt even more bitter. He knew that Zhuowen had killed a tanned man, and was already irreconcilable with Pil Array Immortal City. Duan Qingyao would not let him go. Moreover, his and Zhu Wenlin's fate would also be very miserable. Zhuowen's gaze was cold. He looked at Duan Qingyao and said indifferently, "City Lord Duan, I, Zhuowen, have no intention of becoming enemies with your Pil Array Immortal City. Now that I've already gotten what I need, if you let me go, then I won't find trouble with your Pil Array Immortal City, and we can even become friends in the future." Duan Qingyao's gaze was gloomy, and he said eerily, "Zhuowen, you make it sound so easy. You killed a half-step heaven-breaking cultivator of my Pil Array Immortal City, and you even took the remnant of the true Pil Array record, and you want to leave just like that? You're really delusional. Then what you mean is that you still want me to stay. Could it be that you're not afraid that I'll kill all the remaining half-step heaven-breaking realm experts in your Pil Array Immortal City? At that time, it'll be too late for you to regret," Zhuowen said indifferently. But Duan Qingyao sneered repeatedly and said, "You're really confident, to actually have delusions of wanting to kill other half-step shattering heaven realm powerhouses. If it wasn't for Chen Sitten's carelessness, would you have found the opportunity to kill him? You don't have the chance now." As Duan Qingyao spoke, he waved his right sleeve. Immediately, a series of array discs flew out. They turned into a long dragon and formed a powerful boundary around Zhuowen. The surface of the realm was glowing with a translucent light. It was quite extraordinary, and it was actually a half-step heaven-breaching spell formation. Duan Qingyao walked to the edge of the domain with his hands behind his back. He said to the white-haired old man and the other two, "What are you waiting for? Take him down." Originally, the white-haired old man was still in a daze because the swarthy man was destroyed, and had yet to react. Now, Duan Qingyao's shout immediately woke them up, and they immediately shot out explosively, splitting into 3 directions and launching their strongest attacks at Zhuowen. At the same time, Duan Qingyao already dragged out the heavily injured middle-aged man and instructed the first elder of Immortal City, Yu Jinghuan, to arrange for this middle-aged man to be treated. Yu Jinghuan was naturally respectful and reverent, bringing the middle-aged man down. And Jiang Pinghui, who followed beside Yu Jinghuan, looked at the figure facing the 3 great half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses within the realm, and sighed lightly in her heart. She knew that this Zhuowen couldn't escape today even if he grew wings, and was dead for sure. F***ck. This brother is actually so fierce. If I knew earlier, I wouldn't have looked down on him. Who knows if he'll bear a grudge in his heart. Chu Xiangdi was somewhat guilty. Previously, when he encountered Zhu Wenlin and Zhuowen, he spoke bluntly to that Zhuowen. Now that he thought about it, he felt guilty. However, this boy is going to be a dead man soon, and he won't have the chance to find trouble with me. Chu Xiangdi glanced at that powerful realm, and then looked at the 3 half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses that were jointly attacking Zhuowen, and he was very relieved. Of these 3 half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses, the weakest was a second blight powerhouse, and the strongest, that white-haired old man, was an early-stage third blight powerhouse, much stronger than that tanned large man and middle-aged man. With the 3 of them working together, no matter how heaven-defying Zhuowen's methods were, he would still have to nurse a grievance. Buyangrong and Zhu Wenlin were both frightened, and their faces were pale without any color. Especially Buyangrong, His whole body was trembling uncontrollably because he noticed Duan Qingyao's gaze faintly looking in his direction. That gaze was very cold, and this made him feel even more guilty. Zhuowen stood in place. He didn't summon his doppelganger, and instead used his human main body to resist these 3 half-step heaven-breaking realm powerhouses. His human main body's cultivation had already reached the peak of the first blight, and his strength had increased explosively. Added with his shattered divine power, it was enough to defeat the majority of second blight powerhouses. The white-haired old man's speed was extremely fast, and he took the lead, arriving in front of Zhuowen in an instant. "Thief, you're very bold, actually daring to kill people in Pill Array Immortal City. You're practically seeking death." The white-haired old man's voice was cold. He wore metal gloves on his hands, and these gloves were very extraordinary. They looked a little damaged, but they had an ancient and vicissitude aura, and they also erupted with an extremely terrifying aura. This definitely wasn't an ordinary half-step heaven-breaking realm god tool. Boom! The white-haired old man threw a punch, and it actually exploded with countless beastly roars, as if there was an endless amount of terrifying primordial beasts in this punch. Moreover, these beastly roars were very terrifying, loud and resounding. Many cultivators in the square were affected by these beastly roars, and their entire bodies seemed to have become sluggish, and they stopped in place. Some were even bleeding from their 7 orifices, and their hands covered their ears. Zhuowen's eyes narrowed, and he stomped his right foot, and his entire body turned into a purple shadow. The white-haired old man's punch landed on the purple shadow, and only then did he realize that what he hit was only an afterimage. Zhuowen's body shot out like lightning, and he swept towards a cultivator on the right. This was a rather young man with a white face and no beard, but he had a head of white hair. Especially his white eyebrows, they drooped down on both sides of his face, making him look very comical. This white-haired young man's cultivation wasn't bad, and he had already reached the early stage of the second blight. "Hee! You dare to attack me, you're very bold." The white-haired young man revealed a sinister smile, and his aura became even stronger. Zhuowen shrugged and said, "Because you're the weakest of the 3, of course I'll start with you." The white-haired young man was furious, and his aura exploded. This kid's mouth was really unforgiving, and the words that came out of his mouth made him gnash his teeth in hatred. He really wanted to slap this kid to death. Boom! The white-haired young man's natal divine weapon was a silver longsword. When the sword was swung, the sword chi spread across hundreds of millions of miles, as if it could tear the entire sky apart. Countless sword chi burst out and attacked Zhuowen like rain, instantly enveloping Zhuowen from all directions. Zhuowen took a deep breath, and all the apertures on his body opened up, and streams of purple chi burst out. Instantly, the purple chi attached to the surface of his body, forming a mysterious and brilliant purple battle suit. Chapter 3506. True Strength. Bang! 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 The sword chi was very dense, and all of them landed on Zhuowen's body. However, they were all blocked by the purple armor, and countless purple sparks flew out. On the other hand, Zhuowen took a step in the air, and charged out from the sword chi like a demonic god. He grabbed at the white-haired youth. "You're courting death." The white-haired youth sneered as he stabbed out with the sword in his right hand and aimed at Zhuowen's forehead. He was confident that this attack was enough to completely kill Zhuowen. However, he soon found that what he stabbed was an illusion. Not good! The moment he stabbed the illusion, he immediately realized that something was wrong. There was a terrifying sonic boom from the back of his head. He merely moved his head to the side, and a palm surging with purple light appeared on his shoulder. Poochie! His shoulder was directly smashed into a bloody mist, dripping with blood, and he screamed miserably. What made the white-haired youth even more terrified was that a mysterious and powerful force entered his body and destroyed everything in his body, causing his movements to become slightly sluggish. What kind of power is this? Why is it so strange? The white-haired youth was puzzled and stunned. While he was in a daze, Zhuo Wen's fist came crashing down once again, smashing into the space between his brows, destroying his spirit and destroying his physical body. Zhuo Wen's current strength was much stronger than before. It was too easy for him to instantly kill a first and second blight cultivator. He only needed 1 or 2 moves to destroy the body and divine soul of a first and second blight cultivator without any chance of survival. However, a third blight cultivator was much more difficult to deal with. Even though Zhuo Wen's cultivation had greatly increased, he still needed to kill a third blight cultivator many times before he could completely destroy their divine soul. "You bastard, you're courting death!" The white-haired elder saw that the white-haired youth was instantly killed and roared in anger. He decisively charged at Zhuo Wen. Zhuo Wen and the white-haired elder's fists collided. He grunted and couldn't help but retreat. It was indeed a bit difficult for him to deal with a third blight cultivator with just his human body. The reason why he was able to kill a third blight cultivator was mainly because he had fused with his avatar. His strength had increased to a terrifying level, and that was why he was able to do it so easily. Now, he was only using his human body, so his strength was naturally weaker. It was still a bit difficult for him to deal with a third blight cultivator. However, Zhuo Wen's speed was very fast. This was a great benefit brought to him by the primordial chant. The instant Zhuo Wen retreated, his entire body turned into a purple shadow, bypassing the gray-haired old man and rushing towards another cultivator. This cultivator was a middle-aged man with large nostrils. He was burly and looked like an ancient beast. His cultivation was a bit stronger than the white-haired youth's second blight. When the middle-aged man saw Zhuo Wen pounce at him, his heart trembled. He didn't even fight and immediately chose to retreat. Furthermore, he retreated very quickly. The scene of the white-clothed youth being easily killed was still vivid in his mind. Although he was a bit stronger than the white-haired youth, there was a limit to it. If Zhuo Wen could instantly kill the white-haired youth, he could naturally instantly kill him. He didn't dare to fight Zhuo Wen head-on. Unfortunately, the ideal was full, but the reality was very harsh. So what if the middle-aged man retreated quickly? His speed was far from being Zhuo Wen's match. Not long after, Zhuo Wen caught up to him and threw a punch at the middle-aged man's forehead, intending to destroy him with a single punch. The middle-aged man began to panic. His hands blocked in front of him, and he was directly turned into a bloody mist by Zhuo Wen's punch. The broken divine power mercilessly invaded the middle-aged man's body, causing him to scream. His heart was filled with terror, and he completely lost his will to fight. What happened next was too simple. The middle-aged man lost his will to fight and couldn't use his strength at all. Zhuo Wen easily killed the middle-aged man with a few punches. When the middle-aged man exploded into a bloody mist and Zhuo Wen was bathed in a rain of blood, the square became completely silent. 5 half-step heaven-shattering cultivators surrounded Zhuo Wen, and 3 of them were killed on the spot, while the other was already heavily injured. Now, only a white-haired old man remained. At this moment, Duan Qingyao, who was standing outside the realm, couldn't sit still. Their pill-array immortal city only had 6 half-step heaven-breaking cultivators. Now, 3 of them had died. They lost half. This loss was too serious. Duan Qingyao also didn't expect things to develop to this point. He thought that the white-haired elder and the other 2 could easily take down Zhuo Wen, but he didn't expect that not only did they fail, but they also lost 2 second blight cultivators. This was truly a double whammy. Elder Hong, what are you still doing? Quickly kill this child for me. Duan Qingyao was filled with anger, and his tone became very cold. At the same time, Duan Qingyao took out formation flags and began to set up a half-step heaven-breaking killing formation in the realm. He wanted to directly annihilate Zhuowen to vent the hatred in his heart. He didn't even consider capturing Zhuowen alive and making him his servant. He had already lost his mind and only wanted to kill Zhuowen. The white-haired elder was also filled with anger. He roared again and again, and the killing intent in his eyes seemed to materialize. The aura of an early-stage third blight cultivator was completely revealed. It was very extraordinary and terrifying. Zhuowen stood in place. He noticed the terrifying killing intent coming from the realm and knew that Duan Qingyao was going to set up a killing formation. If he continued to drag this out, it would only be very disadvantageous for him. He had to end this quickly. Old fart, I'm not playing with you anymore. I'll directly kill you. After saying this, Zhuowen immediately summoned his doppelganger from the great world. A black-clothed clone stepped out from the void behind him and suddenly entered the main body's body. The two merged into one. Boom! Instantly, Zhuowen's aura skyrocketed to a terrifying level. A terrifying storm vortex appeared in the air around him, as if it could tear everything apart. At this moment, the white-haired elder had already arrived not far from Zhuowen. His fists surged with terrifying killing energy as if they could kill all living beings. You're dead, little bastard. The killing intent in the white-haired elder's eyes was very terrifying. It was as if it had materialized. He had already punched towards Zhuowen's forehead. Zhuowen took a deep breath and also punched out. Purple light lingered around his fist, but his body was sparkling and translucent. When his human main body and clone merged together, his strength increased by hundreds or thousands of times. It was simply too terrifying. Crack! The two fists collided. The white-haired elder's gloves were torn apart, and his right fist and right hand directly exploded into a cloud of blood mist. Poochie! The white-haired elder spat out a mouthful of blood in disbelief. His eyes widened as he stared at Zhuowen in front of him. He couldn't believe it. He felt that it was inconceivable. How did Zhuowen's strength suddenly increase so much? Zhuowen had fallen into a disadvantageous position when they were exchanging blows earlier. But now, he had actually shattered his right hand with a single punch, tearing it into a bloody mist. This was truly a little too frightening and shocking. Chapter 3507. Duan Qingyao attacked. The white-haired old man screamed miserably. His face directly shattered, and his head exploded, turning into a bloody mist. He became a headless corpse. However, the old man was a third blight cultivator. Although he was only at the early stage, his source energy was extremely strong and he wouldn't die so easily. The headless corpse of the white-haired old man floated into the air, and a new head began to grow in the headless place. The white-haired old man's recovered head had an expression of extreme pain. He quickly retreated and looked at Zhuowen with a terrified gaze. He felt that this was unbelievable. He was an early-stage third blight cultivator, but he was heavily injured by this person in one move. Just how terrifying was this person? Furthermore, the white-haired old man was also puzzled by the fact that when he had exchanged a punch with Zhuowen earlier, he had still been fiercely suppressing his opponent. But now, it was like Zhuowen had taken an aphrodisiac. His strength suddenly erupted and he was heavily injured. He really couldn't understand. Old man, you barked so happily just now. Now, call me again. Before the gray-haired old man could react, Zhuowen flashed before the gray-haired old man like a bolt of lightning, and a punch blasted out. It gave rise to countless terrifying gales that were like countless blades, and it was extremely terrifying. The old man screamed in horror and quickly retreated, but unfortunately, how could his speed compare to Zhuowen's? Zhuowen caught up with the white-haired old man in an instant, and unceremoniously punched him in the face, shattering his skull once again. After that, Zhuowen struck out a few times successively, and he directly blasted the old man apart and obliterated him into nothingness. This continued until the old man's soul and body were completely obliterated to the point of being unable to recover. Zhuowen, this old man won't let you go even if I become a ghost. Before the old man died, he let out a miserable scream and cursed Zhuowen. In the end, he couldn't be more dead. At this moment, outside the domain, Duan Qingyao, who was about to finish setting up the killing formation and was only one step away from completing it, was so angry that his eyes turned red and he spat out a mouthful of blood when he saw the white-haired old man completely killed. The killing formation, which was about to be completed, suddenly collapsed, and everything was for naught. Zhuowen, you dare to kill my Pill Array Immortal City's people? You have guts. Duan Qingyao almost lost his mind. Their Pill Array Immortal City had a total of 6 half-step heaven-breaking realm experts. Now, 4 of them were completely killed and 1 was half-crippled. Now, he was the only Pill Array Immortal City Lord left. This loss was too great. It was a huge blow to the Dan Array Immortal City. It would affect the foundation of the Dan Array Immortal City. Duan Qingyao was filled with hatred. He had underestimated Zhuowen's strength and killed the old man. At the same time, Duan Qingyao felt regret. He regretted that he was too impulsive. Facing Zhuowen, he directly used a forceful method to forcefully subdue him. If he knew that this Zhuowen was so strong, he wouldn't have used such a forceful method. Instead, he would have used a soft strategy to subdue Zhuowen. But now everything was too late. The mistake had already been made, and it was very deep. Zhuowen looked at Duan Qingyao with a strange gaze, as if looking at an idiot. City Lord Duan, you directly ordered your subordinates to take my life. I was only acting in self-defense and accidentally killed them. Can you blame me for this? Shouldn't it be your own fault? Zhuowen said with a cold smile. Everyone in the square was dumbfounded. They didn't expect that the final result would be like this. That was 5 half-step heaven-breaking realm experts working together. In the end, they didn't take down this Zhuowen. Instead, they were easily slaughtered by this Zhuowen. F***ck, isn't this Zhuowen too awesome? He's actually so powerful. In the elder group, Buyang Rong's gaze shook. He also felt that it was inconceivable, but it was more of a trace of joy. He was very clear that in this struggle, if Zhuowen had the upper hand, he would have a way to survive. If Zhuowen was captured or killed, it was very likely that he would die. Zhu Wenlin and Bu Yangrong's thoughts were the same. At this moment they were also pleasantly surprised. Just what is this Zhuowen's background? How can he be so strong? At the front of the elder group, Immortal City's first elder, Yu Jinghuan, frowned deeply. He looked at everything that happened in the realm, the emotions in his heart complicated and difficult to understand. Jiang Pinghui, who stood beside Yu Jinghuan, was even more dumbstruck. The emotions in her heart were like surging waves, very uneasy. At this moment, Duan Qingyao beside the realm flew into a rage. He looked at Zhuowen sinisterly and said coldly, "Zhuowen, do you really think that no one in Pill Array Immortal City can deal with you? Don't think that just because you killed a few half-step, heaven-breaking realm cultivators, you're invincible. In my opinion, you're still just a frog at the bottom of a well." As Duan Qingyao spoke, he stepped into the realm, and the aura on his body suddenly erupted. Duan Qingyao's aura was very terrifying, much more terrifying than the white-haired old man. Wherever his aura spread, countless space and time would be annihilated, forming terrifying black holes around him. The Immortal City Lord has made his move. I think this Zhuowen is finished. The Immortal City Lord is a peak 3rd Blight expert. Coupled with his powerful Array Dao skills, his strength is comparable to an ordinary 4th Blight expert. He is the undisputed #1 expert of our Pill Array Immortal City. N. With the immortal city lord making his move, this child indeed has no chance. Sigh. If the immortal city lord had made his move earlier, those few people might not have needed to be sacrificed. This Zhuowen is really lucky. He even dragged a few people down with him. In the square, everyone's eyes lit up when they saw Duan Qingyao enter the realm. Their eyes were bright, and they looked forward to the battle that was about to happen in the realm. In the crowd, Zhu Wenlin's body trembled, and his heart was full of sighs. He knew that this Zhuowen was most likely doomed. Brother Zhu, you really have a good junior brother, ah. He actually dares to act so unscrupulously in the Pill Array Immortal City. He doesn't put the Immortal City Lord in his eyes at all. Cold and mocking laughter came from behind Zhu Wenlin. Zhu Wenlin turned his head and saw Yu Ziqian with his arms crossed, looking at him coldly. Yu Ziqian was also deeply afraid of Zhuowen's battle achievements. He had even thought of a way to escape from the Pill Array Immortal City. After all, he had offended Zhuowen before. He was really afraid that this Zhuowen's strength could cover the sky with one hand. When the time came, he would act recklessly in the Pill Array Immortal City, and his life would be in danger. But now that Duan Qingyao had made his move, he was completely at ease and began to cause trouble for Zhu Wenlin. Especially when he saw that Zhu Wenlin was frightened, Yu Ziqian was incomparably happy. He knew that Zhu Wenlin and Buyang Rong were finished. Chapter 3508 Dimensional Explosion Slap. Yu Ziqian stepped forward and slapped Zhu Wenlin. Then, he took out a disc array that he had prepared earlier. Zhu Wenlin originally wanted to retaliate, but the disc array had already landed around him. It then exploded, forming rings of golden ropes that bound him to the spot. Zhu Wenlin was caught off guard. His limbs were bound and he fell to the ground. He kept struggling, but unfortunately, he couldn't break free. Bang bang bang! Yu Ziqian took a step forward and kicked Zhu Wenlin mercilessly. His words were filled with insults. The surrounding people watched in silence. No one helped. Even some of Zhu Wenlin's close friends had indifferent looks on their faces. They had no intention of stepping forward to help. Zhu Wenlin's heart was filled with despair. He knew that he had fallen into a state of isolation and helplessness. Even if he was beaten to death, no one would come to his aid. At the same time, Buyang Rong was in a similar situation. Yu Ziqian's father, Yu Yuanqing, was the first to make things difficult for Buyang Rong. He used Buyang Rong as an excuse to cover up for Zhuowen's participation in the Immortal City Grand Competition. In the end, it led to such a disaster. He called for the other elders to arrest Buyang Rong. Buyang Rong was weak and his strength could only be considered average. Soon, he was captured by the other elders. His limbs were bound and he lay on the ground. Grand Elder Buyang Rong has ulterior motives. This kind of person should be executed immediately as a warning to others. Great Elder, please allow me to personally exterminate this traitor. Yu Yuanqing asked for instructions from Yu Jinghuan. He righteously declared that he was enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens. Buyang Rong was anxious. He said, Grand Elder, you haven't investigated this matter clearly. You can't come to a conclusion so early. Moreover, even if I'm suspected of covering up, I can only be punished after the trial results are out. Also, Yu Yuanqing is using his position to avenge a private grudge. He wants to use this opportunity to kill me. I hope Grand Elder can judge clearly. Yu Yuanqing snorted coldly. Buyang Rong, your skin is really thick. Everyone can see the mistakes you've made. Why do you need to be judged? People like you don't deserve to die. As he spoke, Yu Yuanqing took a step forward. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He planned to execute Buyang Rong on the spot. However, Yu Jinghuan stood in front of Yu Yuanqing. Yuanqing, this matter can only be decided after the trial. Right now, you still can't decide Bu Yangrong's life and death, Yu Jinghuan said indifferently. Yu Yuanqing smiled embarrassedly and did not attack. Instead, he said with a smile, I'll follow First Elder's arrangements. Yu Jinghuan nodded and said, capture Bu Yangrong for now. Once the city governor deals with Zhuowen, we'll let the city governor make the decision. Yu Yuanqing hurriedly agreed. His eyes were filled with anger, but he did not dare to show it. After all, Yu Jinghuan was the first elder. Her status and power were far above his. How could he dare to disobey her orders? Master, the immortal city lord has made his move. Suddenly, Jiang Pinghui spoke, and it instantly attracted the attention of Yu Jinghuan and the other elders. Everyone in the square also focused their attention on the bounded domain. At that moment, Duan Qingyao's aura had soared to its peak. Then, he took a step forward and rushed toward Zhuowen as fast as lightning. The current Duan Qingyao was too terrifying. He was like an ancient giant beast. His pressure swept out, and the surrounding bounded domain trembled violently, emitting strange sounds. Zhuowen's eyes were solemn. Duan Qingyao was definitely the strongest opponent he had encountered so far, second only to Sakyamuni, 3 Pure Ones, Black King, and the other top experts. Although Zhuowen's strength had improved rapidly, he knew that he could at most fight with an ordinary 4th Blight expert. Whether he could win was still unknown. Boom! Zhuowen activated the primordial chant and adjusted his condition to the best. Then, he suddenly punched out, and it was like thunder. In just an instant, Zhuowen and Duan Qingyao collided, and an unprecedented explosion erupted. It was too terrifying. It spread in all directions, and the extent of the shaking of the bounded domain was even more terrifying. Bang! 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 The moment Zhuowen and Duan Qingyao collided, the two of them exchanged dozens of blows in an instant. Each of their blows was extremely terrifying. Zhuowen's eyes were solemn. Duan Qingyao's strength was already at the peak of the 3rd Blight, and coupled with Duan Qingyao's super high level of Array Dao, each attack was wrapped in powerful Array Dao restrictions. It was very difficult to deal with, and it multiplied the power. If Zhuowen's Array Dao wasn't weaker than Duan Qingyao's, he would have been completely suppressed. However, even so, Zhuowen was still at a disadvantage because Duan Qingyao's Array Dao was still stronger than Zhuowen's, and his cultivation was also stronger than Zhuowen's. At this moment, it was reasonable for him to suppress Zhuowen. But Zhuowen wasn't weak. Although he was suppressed, it was impossible for Duan Qingyao to defeat him in a short time. Moreover, during the battle between Zhuowen and Duan Qingyao, he was constantly evolving the primordial chant. His perception was too terrifying. Even during normal times, his perception was many times stronger than that of ordinary cultivators. And now, during the battle, the probability of him comprehending was even higher. It was possible for him to enter an epiphany again, which would allow his cultivation to advance further. After all, Zhuowen was now an extraordinary person, and he couldn't be explained with common sense. Zhuowen's body was purple. Although he was suppressed, he became braver as the battle went on, and his eyes gradually revealed a look of enlightenment. Duan Qingyao's eyes were gloomy and he was shocked. This boy's strength was somewhat beyond his expectations. Furthermore, he did not know if it was his misperception, but he discovered that Zhuowen's strength was rapidly increasing during the course of the battle. The speed was extremely fast. This guy is in an epiphany? Duan Qingyao saw the look of enlightenment in Zhuowen's eyes, and he was shocked. The probability of him entering an epiphany during the battle was too small. Moreover, this boy was fighting in an epiphany, and his strength was even more terrifying, which caught him off guard. No, I must interrupt this boy. Duan Qingyao felt the pressure. In his current state, he could only barely suppress Zhuowen. If he allowed Zhuowen to successfully break through, then wouldn't he be suppressed instead? This was something he absolutely couldn't allow. Realm explode. Duan Qingyao suddenly blasted Zhuowen back, and then he took a step out of the realm. His hands formed seals, and he actually detonated the realm. At the same time, he waved his sleeve, and the surrounding spectators were all brought away from the central area. Boom! Boom! The realm exploded, and blazing white light shot into the sky, tearing the sky and illuminating the entire alchemy array Dao domain. It was too dazzling. Amidst the terrifying explosion, Zhuowen suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. The surrounding explosive energy was too terrifying, and it was eroding Zhuowen's body. Zhuowen's eyes were slightly clear. He took out defensive divine artifacts from his great world, and used the profound creation mysterious light to surround himself tightly, and continued to enter an epiphany. He had reached a critical moment, and he absolutely couldn't stop. Otherwise, all his efforts would be in vain. As long as he successfully advanced this time, then Duan Qingyao would undoubtedly be defeated, and he could easily defeat him. Boom! 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 Duan Qingyao stood in the distant void with his hands behind his back. He looked at the dazzling explosion in the distance with a mocking smile. This boy still wants to fight with me? In the end, he will still die in my hands. Chapter 3509. The second decay. Amidst the terrifying realm explosion, energy swept out and space shattered. Zhuowen was in the midst of this terrifying explosive energy, bitterly holding on. The defensive divine artifacts surrounding him were shattering and collapsing one after another. Zhuowen's eyes were dazed. He was still in a state of epiphany, leaving only a small part of his mind to pay attention to everything in the outside world. I'm about to break through. Hold on a little longer. Zhuowen muttered to himself. He began to take out the chaos crystal and frantically absorbed the chaos energy. His aura was constantly strengthening, surpassing the aura of the peak of the first decay. Crack! Finally, the last defensive divine artifact around Zhuowen shattered. The explosive energy in the surroundings surged like a tidal wave, instantly drowning Zhuowen. Zhuowen's body was shrouded in purple light. After he cultivated the primordial mantra, the profound creation mysterious light that he used had also turned purple. Its power had increased countless times. The profound creation mysterious light barely helped Zhuowen block the explosive energy, but the purple light was quickly fading. Clearly, it couldn't hold on for long. When the profound creation mysterious light was completely annihilated, Zhuowen's eyes suddenly opened. In the depths of his eyes, there was a mysterious purple light surging. It was blazing and deep. The chaos crystal in Zhuowen's hand had completely turned into dust. Its energy had been completely absorbed by Zhuowen. This chaos crystal was left over from the last time Zhuowen had absorbed it. It only had 1/3 of its energy. Now that Zhuowen had absorbed it, he had absorbed all the energy in the chaos crystal. Because of this, he had successfully broken through. Boom! Zhuowen's aura was extremely vast. The purple light spread out in all directions like a tide, forming endless purple ripples. Zhuowen knew that he had already advanced to the second decay. Next, the second decay would descend from the depths of the universe. I'm afraid the blight this time is going to be terrifying. Zhuowen couldn't help but smile bitterly when he recalled the first decay. At that time, even the gung metal sword rain had appeared. It was really unexpected. This time, the blight would only be more powerful. Zhuowen's purple light soared into the sky, and the surrounding explosive energy was basically blocked by Zhuowen's purple light. When the energy of the explosion gradually dissipated, Zhuowen slowly walked out and stared coldly at the complacent Duan Qingyao not far away. When Duan Qingyao saw Zhuowen, his expression was very interesting. It was as if he had been petrified, standing still on the spot. As for the people in the square, they were all petrified and felt that it was inconceivable. The self-destruction of a half-step heaven-breaker realm was enough to kill a third blight cultivator. Even someone at the peak of the third blight would be severely injured if they were hit by such an explosion. However, Zhuowen did not die. Although he looked miserable, he did not suffer too much damage. Oh my God! What kind of freak is this Zhuowen? He's actually still alive. At this moment, Yu Ziqian, who was holding the half-dead Zhu Wenlin, saw Zhuowen appear in front of him alive, and his whole body trembled. His legs went weak, and he almost fell to the ground. The elders in the distance were all dumbfounded. It was as if they had received an unprecedented blow. What's going on? This Zhuowen. Yu Yuanqing's body was also trembling. His hand holding Bu Yangrong was also trembling. Zhuowen looked calmly at Duan Qingyao, who was also in shock, and said indifferently, "Old dog Duan, this is your final move? Is this all you've got? Are you trying to tickle me?" Duan Qingyao came to his senses and heard Zhuowen call him Old Dog Duan. He was furious. He was the lord of the Pill Array Immortal City, the true ruler of the Pill Array Immortal City. He was respected by tens of thousands of people, and his status was extraordinary and noble. When had anyone called him Old Dog Duan? However, someone was insulting him, and this person was the cancer he wanted to get rid of. Zhuowen, you're very lucky to be able to survive the realm explosion. I can't help but admire your good luck. Duan Qingyao's eyes were gloomy. He still looked down on Zhuowen. He felt that Zhuowen was only lucky enough to survive. That's right. My luck is indeed good. I also believe that I can rely on my good luck to destroy you, Old Dog Duan. Zhuowen sneered. He stepped out with his right foot and swept to Duan Qingyao's side in an instant. He threw a punch. Duan Qingyao snorted and waved his sleeve. Instantly, a series of Array Dao restriction runes surged out and easily blocked Zhuowen's attack. Duan Qingyao grabbed Zhuowen's fist and said contemptuously, "Zhuowen, I have to say that your strength is only SOSO. There is still a certain gap between you and me. You will lose if you fight with me." Duan Qingyao was high and mighty. However, he soon realized that something was amiss. This was because he saw Zhuowen's lips curl into a mocking smile. This smile contained disdain and ridicule. "What are you laughing at?" Duan Qingyao said coldly. "I'm laughing at your stupidity. You're as stupid as a pig," Zhuowen said with a faint smile. Duan Qingyao was furious. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He stirred up all the power in his body, wanting to completely kill Zhuowen. However, he soon felt that something was wrong. He discovered that in the depths of the starry sky, there was a terrifying power surging. Rumble! Suddenly, in the depths of the starry sky, a huge black hole appeared. Then, a terrifying energy descended from the black hole. This energy was too blazing. It was colorful and very bright. Of course, its power was also terrifying. Bad luck. You're actually going through a bad luck? Duan Qingyao's pupils shrank. He finally understood why Zhuowen was laughing at him. This guy deliberately lured him over to use the bad luck to trick him. Zhuowen, you're so naive that it's ridiculous. You're at most at the peak of the first bad luck. Just now, you only broke through the second bad luck. That's only the second bad luck. And I'm already at the peak of the third bad luck. Do you think this kind of bad luck will affect me? Duan Qingyao blasted Zhuowen away with a punch. The corner of his mouth was still filled with disdain and arrogance. He still looked down on Zhuowen. Old Dog Duan, you're very confident. However, you're going to cry later. Zhuowen sneered. He was very clear about how terrifying his bad luck was. When he was going through the first bad luck, a second bad luck expert who forced their way into his bad luck was instantly annihilated. Now, his second bad luck would only be more terrifying. Duan Qingyao definitely wouldn't gain any advantage if he faced it head-on. Rumble. At this moment, the second bad luck had already descended. It was colorful and filled with powerful energy, forming a terrifying energy vortex. Duan Qingyao didn't escape. His eyes were locked on Zhuowen. The corner of his mouth was filled with bloodthirst. Zhuowen, you'll definitely die today. Your bad luck has no effect on me at all. As he spoke, Duan Qingyao didn't care about the descending bad luck at all. He directly pounced on Zhuowen. With a wave of his sleeve, he threw out array discs, forming a terrifying restriction spear. It tore through the air and rushed towards the space between Zhuowen's eyebrows. Zhuowen cursed in his heart. This old dog Duan is a good-for-nothing. Launching an attack in this bad luck, does he really think he's immortal? However, Zhuowen didn't dare to be negligent. The pores on his body contracted and his muscles tensed up, preparing to defend against the upcoming bad luck and Duan Qingyao. He didn't dare to take the initiative to attack. He put all his energy into defense. This was also to save energy. Rumble. Chapter 35:10. Heaven and lightning. Divine lightning. Zhuowen's entire body was covered in purple light. Both of his palms quickly struck out. Every palm strike landed on the spear's handle, and he was constantly pushed back. Powerful palm energy surged out. The restriction spear that was rushing towards him finally could not hold on under Zhuowen's last palm strike, and it collapsed with a loud bang. As for Duan Qingyao, he was following closely behind the restriction spear. After the restriction spear was completely destroyed by Zhuowen, Duan Qingyao decisively struck out. He punched towards Zhuowen's forehead. Zhuowen was helpless. He could only block Duan Qingyao's punch. With a groan, he could not help but take a few steps back. Duan Qingyao revealed a pleased smile. He originally wanted to attack further and kill Zhuowen, but the energy of the decay tribulation had already descended. Humph. The second decay tribulation is simply too weak to withstand a single blow. Duan Qingyao did not put the decay tribulation in his eyes. With a wave of his sleeve, he casually blocked the energy of the decay tribulation. Poochie! But very quickly Duan Qingyao's expression changed. His attack was instantly broken through by the decay tribulation. Following that, his right hand was directly annihilated by the decay tribulation energy. Duan Qingyao let out a blood-curdling scream and quickly retreated. However, the decay tribulation seemed to have locked onto him. It chased after him relentlessly and did not let him go. At this moment, Duan Qingyao was in a very sorry state. He was being chased by the decay tribulation. He was clenching his teeth in pain, and smoke was rising from his head. As for Zhuowen, he was not much better off. He was also howling in pain from the blight tribulation. However, because of Duan Qingyao's interference, a portion of the decay tribulation's energy was split by Duan Qingyao. Therefore, Zhuowen did not feel that much pressure from the decay tribulation. At this moment, the entire sky above Dan Array Immortal City was surrounded by the terrifying decay tribulation energy. The terrifying energy was like a huge ring-shaped sun that was constantly rotating. It illuminated the entire Immortal City as if it was daytime. All the cultivators in Pill Array Immortal City were shocked. They didn't expect the blight tribulation to suddenly descend. Furthermore, this blight tribulation was a little too terrifying. The blazing energy completely submerged Duan Qingyao and Zhuowen's figures. It was impossible to see their exact positions. They could only vaguely hear Duan Qingyao and Zhuowen's miserable cries coming from above. This is Zhuowen's misfortune. This is only the second blight. How can it be so terrifying? Immortal City's Grand Elder Yu Jinghuan was in disbelief. The moment the blight descended, he could see that this was the second blight. It was clear that Zhuowen was only a first blight cultivator from the start. With this kind of cultivation, he could actually kill an early-stage third blight cultivator. This guy was too heaven-defying. What was even more heaven-defying was that this child's blight tribulation caused even Duan Qingyao to cry out in pain. He was unable to break free and was surrounded by the blight tribulation. Grand Elder, rumor has it that heaven-defying geniuses are too powerful and can fight above their realm. They are envied by the heavens, and their blight tribulations are extremely terrifying. This child might be such a heaven-defying genius. Among the group of elders, an elder said softly to Yu Jinghuan, recounting an ancient rumor. Yu Jinghuan's eyes became serious and he bitterly said, "I'm afraid we have provoked someone we shouldn't have provoked." Yu Jinghuan agreed with this elder's words. He also thought that this Zhuowen was too heaven-defying. He was only at the first blight, yet he had such terrifying battle strength. Now that this child was going through his blight tribulation was so abnormal. Once this fellow successfully passed his blight tribulation, even the city lord, Duan Qingyao, might not be this Zhuowen's match. The blight tribulation lasted for a very long time. After 3 days and 3 nights, the terrifying blight finally showed signs of weakening. The light gradually faded. Everyone in the city used their eye techniques and immediately noticed the 2 people in the blight tribulation. They were surprised to discover that although Zhuo Wen's flesh was lacerated, and he appeared to be dripping with blood, and appeared to be in a rather miserable state, his aura was unceasingly rising. Moreover, the life force on his body was also growing stronger and stronger, surging over and rapidly healing the injuries on his body. On the other hand, the city lord, Duan Qingyao, was scorched black and his aura was weak. He had been beaten black and blue by the blight tribulation and was extremely weak. However, Duan Qingyao was still the city lord. He took out many half-step heaven-breaking pills and swallowed them as if they were free. His vitality was quickly recovering. Duan Qingyao stood up and looked at Zhuowen. The killing intent in his eyes was monstrous and terrifying. He now completely understood that he had been used by Zhuowen to go through his tribulation. This feeling of being set up made him very depressed. He felt like he was suffocating, and he just wanted to vent it out. "Zhuowen, you dare to trick me? You'll pay the price!" Duan Qingyao roared. He kicked off with his right foot and continued to rush toward Zhuowen. At this moment, Zhuowen's eyes suddenly opened. His eyes were filled with a strange purple light. Zhuowen turned his head and looked indifferently at Duan Qingyao, who was rushing over. The corners of his mouth revealed a mocking smile. Duan Qingyao was approaching Zhuowen. When he saw the smile on Zhuowen's face, his heart skipped a beat. He was all too familiar with this smile. This was the same smile this kid had when he lured him into the blight tribulation. Duan Qingyao screamed. He was smiling again. His whole body convulsed. Could it be that he was going to trick him again? His body was charred black and his hair stood on end as if he was roasted. This kid has nothing else to rely on. He quickly let go of Duan Qingyao and comforted himself and forced himself to calm down. Another golden divine thunder descended erupted from the depths of the starry sky. He swooped down toward Zhuowen. It chased after Old Dog Duan. It was like a golden python have a good memory at all. Coiled around Zhuowen threw out a punch. Zhuowen's body trembled and he cursed in his heart. Zhuowen made use of the momentum of the body was charred black at the same time. Electric currents he hooked Duan Qingyao with one hand and entangled him tightly. It's actually the apocalyptic golden lightning. What are you trying to do? I'm only in the second blight, felt that something was wrong, blight and energy actually descended. Of course, you damn heavens, you to help me trying to kill me. Zhuowen laughed. He took out a jade bottle and swallowed a healing elixir. His scalp went numb. He felt an even more terrifying energy surging in the depths of the starry sky. At the same time, he cursed loudly and pointed his golden divine thunder descended from the depths of the starry sky. The apocalyptic golden lightning. It was as thick as a bucket. This kind of blasted energy was usually only used in the fourth blight. Sizzle. Now, it had directly descended in electric current flowed through Duan Qingyao's body. This was the rhythm of death. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.